Have you all decided?
Madam, we must have podcasts. We must have podcasts forthwith. We must all think and we must all have podcasts and think each and every one of us to the best of our ability. I don't know why it went British.
It did go British.
Madam, we must have waffles. Fuck.
I remember that being like a key part of the trailer. Right?
It's one of two big touchstone comedies based on breakfast starches in their ad campaign. That was the main push.
What was the other?
Dan in Real Life.
God, that guy.
Ladykillers was going waffle forward. Dan was going pancake forward. This is maybe the worst opening of an episode we've ever done.
Absolutely not. It's a good opening, but
Madam, we must have. Can our guest? Do you feel like you can do a professor?
No, not right now. I don't think I can.
Madam, I was watching last night. Madam, we must have
podcasts.
We must have podcasts.
Madam, we must have podcasts. We must have podcasts forthwith.
The fact that we can't do it proves that it's a good performance and a good movie. Glad we settled that. Thank you all for listening. Please remember to rate.
I do like that you're starting off saying this is the worst episode that you've ever done.
This is totally
Stop
fine.
putting it in people's heads.
Yes,
that this is the worst episode.
This is like completely normal for us.
This episode is off to a terrible start. I think it might be the worst episode you've ever recorded, and we're minutes into it.
And that's also a Webby Award-winning podcaster saying
there you go. That's true. You know from PCast.
A real low point for me
and
for all of us. And the Webbies, yeah. No, this is the low point for the Webbies. The Webbies will be like, oh, geez.
The Webbies being like, fuck, one of our winners is on some bad podcast.
This is a bad day for the Webbies.
I want to say that this is maybe the best episode we've ever done. I want to change the messaging right here. I want to say you were correct, David, that the waffles were...
It was a big thing. It was like the trailer was like, and just wait until Tom Hanks orders waffles in this funny voice.
It was the push.
Right.
I was looking for the monologue where he tells her that they are, in fact, criminals. I wanted to change that, criminals to podcasters. Was not on the IMDb page, quotes page, which is quite long.
I think someone tried to transcribe it and fell asleep.
Fuck you.
What? No, Griff. I don't hate this movie, but let's not go to the bat saying we love this movie.
We don't love it. I think it's good.
This movie made me, I gotta say, a little uncomfortable watching it in 2025.
There's stuff in it.
This movie is pretty racist.
There is stuff in it.
I'm just gonna lead with that.
No, I'm gonna agree with you. Here's the thing. When I walked out of this movie in 2004, my first two comments were, that's not as bad as everyone's saying.
Sure.
Followed immediately by, pretty racist.
Not sure the Coens should be just writing. When is this set?
2004.
Yeah, what's going on there, my friend?
There was a moment, I don't know if you remember, when the Coens were getting kind of ransacked in interviews with the Oscar So White's questions.
Yeah, it was later. It was later in their careers.
Like around like True Grit, Llewyn Davis era.
Right.
And Ethan had a comment that people thought was kind of snarky and dismissive. Right? And everyone was like, classic white filmmakers upholding white supremacy, refusing considering black characters.
Everyone was like that, but
a corner of the internet was like that.
Folks
and I just wanted to tell those people, maybe watch The Ladykillers and circle back and tell me if you think they should. Now, I think it's primarily a corner of characters.
Uh-huh.
The Marlon Wayans character is a giant problem. And it was another thing walking out of this movie where I was like, man, Marlon Wayans is bad in that. And the two times I've rewatched it in the last 5 years, I'm just like, he was doing exactly what they asked him to do. And what they asked him to do was not great.
I think so. I don't know. It's not like, I'm like, oh, they have hate in their hearts.
I have a question, though. I have a question about how tightly scripted Marlon Wayans' character was.
You always hear that the Coens, everyone is tightly scripted.
Everyone is tightly scripted.
Right.
Do we feel as if Marlon Wayans' character, if we were to look at the shooting script for the Ladykillers, which I am assuming none of us have.
None of us have. Don't think it's been published.
How tightly scripted do you think that character is on the compared to most Coen Brothers characters?
Here's the thing. I
feel like there might have been some improv.
Interesting, because I watched this and I think if they had just let him improvise, it probably would be funnier and less offensive. I think this reads big time as hyper literate, incredibly strong dialogue writers being like, how do those young black people talk? It is overwritten, but it very much feels to me like he's trying his best to make it sound natural.
To make it his own.
And yet I was like rewatching it with the subtitles on, really kind of like wrestling with that question. And I'm like, I can see Joel and Ethan typing this out and being like, I think we've hit it, right?
Game of the character is that he just says the N-word a bunch.
That's one of his games, I'd say.
That's what they thought was funny?
Kind of.
I don't think the character has much of a game, which is almost more annoying because the other criminals kind of do. Like have more of a specified bit.
For sure.
And then with Marlon Wayans, they're kind of just like, yeah, I don't know. He's just like a loser.
It's
I'm gonna
extremely
say it.
phoned in.
It's loud.
Crazy.
It's loud, angry black man. Like
Right.
that's the
He's
problem.
just foul mouthed,
Right.
I guess.
But he's the one who is the inside man.
He keeps stressing that he is the inside man.
Well, that not only are they stressing it, it is actually a fact of the text.
It's what he's
he
there
works.
for.
He works at the casino, so
Until
he is
he
the one
gets
who has
fired.
access. So this is not like something that the characters are
We're
speculating.
forgetting.
What?
He loves big butts.
He loves big.
And
So
he
there's
cannot
the-
lie.
He can't lie about it. In fact, it is sort of his fatal character flaw is when he sees a big butt, he must have a conversation with it.
Yeah,
Like,
he's honest to a fault.
We're building a good bed for me to mount a defense of. This movie's okay.
This movie begins with the wonderful Irma P. Hall coming in to the police to complain about the hippity hop music.
To
that
the
her-
wonderful George Wallace.
Would love to see him.
Yeah.
To complain about the hippity hop music that, her tenant is playing. And I'm like, oh, okay. So this is set, is this set in like the late 70s when like hip hop music would have been a sort of a new thing for a woman like this to reckon with?
It's set in 2004.
Right.
And they're listening to Tribe Called Quest, a song that came out in like the fucking late 80s.
Yeah, I will say, as someone who came from the Midwest,
But probably the last rap album
I
that
understand
Joel
what
and
you're
Ethan
about.
ever
It took a
listened to.
while
there
for
are
culture
part
to
of the joke is
transmit.
is that things are on a different timetable. That like
Yeah.
something that you hear that's like, oh, is that a new song? And then it's like, well, it's new to her.
Now, where's this set? I will also ask.
Alabama?
Because Bob Jones University, which of course is cited a lot, that's in South Carolina.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's set in the South,
Okay.
I guess. I mean, why not? I guess that I know.
Marlon Wayne's character, Gawain, is his last name, it's not McKidd.
It's Mexam. I don't really.
Gawain Maxam.
Mhm.
He is, I think, the turnkey that this film is supposed to be set in the present day. I think this is their best approximation.
We have cultural references that can help us to narrow it. That at this
Yes.
point,
he is the most of his time character.
Bobbitt, the Bobbitt reference is post Bobbitt incident, post Bobbitt shooting porno movies,
Post Frankenpenis.
post Frankenpenis.
Post Frankenpenis. And we can use that as a barometer for the rest of this podcast going forward. Our movie set.
Pre or post Frankenpenis?
Uh-huh.
So, what's the podcast?
It's Blank Check with Griffin and David. I'm Griffin.
I'm David.
It's a podcast about filmographies, directors who have massive success early on in their careers and are given a series of blank checks to make whatever crazy passion products they want. And sometimes those checks clear and sometimes they bounce. Baby, we're looking at what has to be the single biggest bounce of their career, if only because it is the only movie of theirs that really has no reclamation project. Was
Not really.
horribly received when it came out. I was looking
Yeah.
at the numbers and it's like, it actually didn't lose money and outgrossed many of their films. And yet it was undeniably seen as a huge flop, considering it was
the
a
Hanks
Disney release
factor. Yeah.
starring Tom Hanks. It is the film that breaks Tom Hanks's decade-long $100 million streak.
Yeah, but also
It was his first kink in the armor.
I also think we have to look at this from the point of view that as a debut film, every because it's the first film by the Coen brothers.
It's the first film by the Coen
That
brothers.
Joel Cohen had a little experience under his belt.
Do you
of
know
course.
this weird fact, Ben? This is,
This is the first Coen brothers movie directed by the Coen brothers.
as we talked about
Oh, right. Yeah.
with Chris Weitz
Yes.
and how difficult the DGA makes it to be recognized as a pair. This one is the first time a movie is directed by Joel and Ethan Coen.
And it shows.
It shows, but it was like
they're figuring it out.
they're
Like
figuring it out.
you can feel it in every frame of this film. These guys are like, how do we do this?
Two-headed director.
All right.
This is a miniseries on the films of Joel and Ethan Coen for the first time as a team.
Yeah. This is the first time that these brothers say, let's direct a movie together. Not just like, I'll direct a movie, you produce
Ethan's
it.
just standing back, crunching the numbers.
Just breathing down his
That
neck.
guy loves producing.
What do you do anyway?
It's a miniseries called No Pod Country for No Cast.
Old casts?
God damn it.
Jesus.
We keep getting it wrong.
You keep getting it wrong.
Pod Country for Old Cast Singular.
Sure, whatever.
That's what the artwork says. It's official now. This is our episode on 2004's The Ladykillers, a remake of 1955.
Correct. The Alexander McKendrick movie.
The Ealing comedy. And today on the show, returning for the math here's a little tricky.
Oh, let's get an accurate number.
Connor Ratliff
Here he is.
has appeared main feed.
As himself or in...
Well, who else would I be talking about? I'm talking about Connor Ratliff has appeared main feed. I believe this is number 3 somehow only.
You appeared
As
on
myself.
a commentary episode in our Phantom podcast days.
Mhm.
And then you did Twin Peaks The Return main feed.
Mhm.
You've also done Twin Peaks Season 2 with us. That was
Patreon.
on Patreon.
Uh-huh.
And George Lucas appeared 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Just twice, I'm seeing.
Just twice.
I believe there was one time in studio where we had a talk with him. There was live show at the Bell House. And then you're, of course, forgetting Denim Invasion live at the Del Close
That's
Marathon.
not listed on the Wikipedia, I will say.
Oh, wow. How do you change a Wikipedia?
I don't know. Just saying, it's not listed.
George
someone-
was definitely part of it.
Someone needs to list it.
Hey, we gotta shout
And also
out.
both Broadway shows.
This is true.
It does say in the Denim Invasion entry, they note cameo appearances from Dan Nikolsky, Murph Mayer, and
Not
George
just by
Lucas.
radio.
Right.
Yeah. But this is right. This is true also. Peter Jackson and Sir
Two characters.
Sir Blank?
Two characters, really.
who then became Joe Shack.
Yeah, I guess one character with an alias.
It's sort of like Professor Dorr is,
Mm-hmm.
well, I guess he has the...
Producer Ben, you were going to make a
The
comment.
season 2 episode for us on Patreon was a really big
That was big.
episode where he got a lot of new fans.
That's what they call a
Really?
driver
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
biz. It was a driver.
I mean, it was very important for me to be a part of that.
It's a good one.
Yeah. And if I can just digress, I know that you don't like digressions, but I recently saw about half of Twin Peaks: The Return at the Metrograph.
Right, they played it all?
They
The
played it
whole
all.
thing?
I wasn't able
That seems
to
bananas.
attend all of it.
Right.
It's weird because
Were
on the
people kind of coming in and out? Like, was it a...
yeah, I talked to some people who went for the whole thing. It was 2 days. On the one hand, because of the sound mix, which is a theatrical sound mix, which apparently David Lynch hated the sound mix for TV because it's all compressed. So on the one hand, this is the way it is supposed to be seen.
tinny.
This is like it sounded different to me. Like there were times when it felt silent at home, but in the theater it felt like, oh no, there's like so much sound happening. But on the other hand, absolutely not the way it's meant to be seen. 9 hours in one day and 9 hours the next day. Just absolutely
Right. The way it's meant to be seen is 18 hours in one day.
It is the parts that are but I will say this as just a follow-on comment from the season 2 episode, as a reward to people who liked that episode and just want a little bit more. The Dougie Jones plot in Twin Peaks: The Return, it never occurred to me anytime I saw it before this, how true it is to the spirit of all the plot lines people hate in season 2. It is the most Little Nicky. It is the most Nadine with superpowers who thinks she's back in high school. It is the most, like, it is just like all of those, like Ben thinks he's in the Civil War. All of those things. Dougie Jones is like, let's do a version of I don't think this is intentional necessarily, but it's like, let's do a version of those kind of dopey plots.
It's Canto Bite. It's like Ryan Johnson saying, we can't ignore the prequels.
Yes.
Yeah,
Like-
there has to be something that is on the same continuum as the energy of the prequels.
Yeah, like my favorite move from that being that what can we do that kind of nods to the inappropriate stereotypes but doesn't actually do anything wrong? So let's have like a little drunken leprechaun
Exactly.
in the casino. This is the one thing we can do that's a little bit like a Jar Jar kind of move.
We're allowed to make fun of the Irish, right?
Still,
Ben
yeah.
Hosley, Connor Ratliff.
Yeah. I think, yeah.
Approval.
Yeah.
All right.
Can I
Anyway,
speak
end of that.
Can I speak to Tom Hanks's streak of $100 million gross?
Yes, and let's just call out the reason Connor is on this episode is over the last couple of years, Connor, you started listening to the podcast again, and then you'll text me at errant times and say, if you ever do this, or I'd love to come on and talk about this type of movie. And you did a while ago, just pin for me, I'd love to come on and talk about Hanks. So just let me know the next time you have a Hanks movie on the schedule. And this felt like a particularly fascinating one to do. You were currently wearing a big t-shirt.
Right. You had your podcast, Good Eyes.
Well, specifically,
Dead Eyes. Good Eyes.
Good podcast.
This guy's got good eyes.
Dead eyes.
And I want to clarify, when you say I'm wearing a big t-shirt, he doesn't mean I'm wearing like an oversized shirt. Like, oh, that'd be a good shirt to like go to sleep in. Like,
no, although it's an XL.
It's an XL.
Okay. Yeah. It is a large shirt.
It's an XL.
Yeah, it's a comfy
Extra
shirt.
large.
Yeah.
But it is specifically, and I love talking about Penny Marshall on the pod. Penny Marshall is big.
Yes.
That's what the shirt is.
Yeah, that's what it is.
But now, do we count that thing you do, which
No.
interrupts his run?
No, that's the one qualifier. It has to be leading role.
So if you take that out, the run is from Gump to Catch Me If You Can. There's one bump. It can go even longer, all the way to League of Their Own.
Yeah.
But Philadelphia only made 77 domestic.
Yeah.
But if you go,
give me the streak from, because what?
I'll give you from League of Their Own.
That's 91?
92.
92. Okay, give me
Penny
92.
Marshall's League of Their Own.
Yes.
I will say.
We'll have you on
It
to
goes
talk about
League
that
of Their
next
Own, Sleepless in Seattle,
100.
Philadelphia makes 77. Forrest Gump, obviously a colossal hit, 300 plus.
One of the biggest hits of all time.
Apollo 13, a gigantic hit. Toy Story, a big hit.
Mhm.
That thing you do, we don't count, I guess. Saving Private Ryan, a colossal hit.
Highest grossing film of its year.
You've Got Mail, a very solid hit.
Mhm.
Toy Story 2, massive
Humongous
movie.
hit.
Green Mile, for a movie that long and difficult, made a lot of
What,
money.
it made 130?
That's right.
Yeah.
Castaway,
Humongous
smash
hit.
hit. Road to Perdition. I will say, if I'm, the seismologist looking for the earthquake and that's where you start
It
to be
makes
like,
it to like 101.
makes 104
But was even like, oh my God.
for a
Tom
dark
Hanks
movie like
playing
that.
a murderer in July
It did all right.
in an austere period
2002
piece.
Catch Me If You Can, obviously,
Yes.
big hit back to, and then Ladykillers and Terminal in 2004
what's
is where he
fascinating.
crashes into the wall doing broad comedy for great directors.
In 1 year, he has 2 movies in a row. Because even when this bombed, I remember people being like, yeah, but he's got a Spielberg comedy coming this summer. He's going to rebound really quick. And when Terminal ends up at 70, people were like, is Hanks cooked?
And I'll confess, as we're looking through those numbers, there's something we're not even accounting for, which is when I went to see Castaway in the theater, I didn't buy a ticket for Castaway. I bought a ticket for a different movie and then went into Castaway because I was still feeling a little too salty.
So you're saying that Castaway's box office
It's
receipts
low. The numbers
There's
are
an
low.
asterisk. We have
There's
to
at least one
deduct
ticket.
$10. Do you
that you
remember what you bought a ticket for instead?
I don't remember. What else would have been out at that time, Griffin?
Well, let me do this math, but just for listeners who don't know, the great Connor Ratliff, your podcast Dead Eyes was about the fact that coming out of drama school, you got a big job, 1 episode, 1 scene role in Band of Brothers, an episode directed by Tom Hanks. You were cast, the role was yours. The day before, they call you and say, you need to meet with Tom.
They need to re-audition, essentially.
Yeah, I would already signed the contracts. They had cut my hair. It was ready to go. We were ready to film.
He's having second thoughts.
Love that we're making you revisit this yet again.
I don't mind because Griffin's saying most of it, so I'm not.
And I'm
having
doing
to-
it really quickly.
Yeah.
And they ended up recasting your role.
You
and
hurriedly audition. It doesn't go well.
The
We don't know what
explanation you
happened.
hear from your representation is Tom thinks you have dead eyes.
Before I did the re-audition, I was told this.
Oh,
So I
yes.
went into the
Yes,
audition
sorry.
with like, holy shit, what do I do with this part that doesn't have a lot of dialogue, doesn't have a lot of opportunity to show off your emotional range?
You lose the part. It's an albatross around your neck for many years. It defines a lot of your sense of self and your relationship to your career and the idea of pursuing a life in the arts and all of these things. But the thing you always talk about on the podcast, which is great and people should listen to if they haven't already, is that like
And if you have apologies for all of this recapping, go ahead and hit that button that just moves you ahead 40 seconds.
we call it the ad break button.
Yeah.
That he
Should play the music under this part.
was possibly your favorite actor at the time.
He's absolutely one of my favorite actors of all time.
And what was so damaging about it was not just that you were fired from a big job, but that it was by someone who was one of your personal heroes, and that it was also at the peak of Tom Hanks is undeniably America's favorite person. He's the nicest guy in the world. We all love him. And this guy ruined your life. And so would Castaway have been the first Hanks movie that came out post-firing?
Well, when I got fired, Green Mile had just been released in England.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things about the day I got fired, walking around London.
Seen the
this
posters.
This giant policeman
city.
man. I mean, he's a
just-
prison.
This true
guy.
But it just
He's
is
in
like
a
a
uniform.
Yeah.
an angelic, a beautiful
Right.
portrait of a good man.
glowing.
A movie that listeners get mad when I diss it.
Yeah.
But I think it's a very bad movie.
Yeah, maybe
love
give
it.
that one a watch again.
I love it.
Yeah. I will. Here's a little trivia cue I have for you guys. Read this sort of like Hank's dominant figure of the 90s, right? As we just sort of illustrated. Post the Ladykillers. It's not like Tom Hanks has ever left our life. We love him. We can do hit indie podcasts about him. And we can have him get COVID to prove the seriousness of a pandemic.
Yeah.
And very many other things. But how many movies has Tom Hanks made live action?
Live action.
I'm going to cut out Polar Express and the Toy Stories and all that because you know those did well. That made over 100 million domestic.
Domestic? Okay,
Yes.
so the first two Robert Langdons.
Da Vinci Code and Angels and Demons.
Because Da Vinci Code is definitely seen as a Hanks is strategizing how to have a surefire hit.
Right. What's a sort of more middle-aged starring role for him?
But that is very much, I think, a post Ladykillers terminal move of he needs to attach himself to IP and something that could be a
Da Vinci
franchise.
Code is a huge hit. Angels and Demons is a very mild hit.
Right.
By comparison.
Inferno flops.
We're not even talking about Inferno.
Captain Phillips did make 100.
It made $107 million.
Yep.
Obviously, wonderful performance.
Sully makes 100.
Sully made $125 million. Not only are you getting this, you're getting them in order, Griffin.
David, did you ever watch my crash cut of Sully that I gave you last time?
Yes, I loved it.
Thank you.
And is there one more?
There's one more.
There's one more. There's one post.
And it's not a starring role.
Elvis.
Oh,
Elvis.
yeah, there we
In
go.
which he noticed something about the fair singer, Elvis Presley. What was it?
His what?
Santa Claus. What did you say? What else?
The showman and
You
the
will play
snowman.
Santa Claus. You'll sing Here Comes Santa Claus.
A performance where the seeds are being planted in the
Ab-
Ladykillers.
I'm also going to put it out there. I don't want to talk any more about Elvis on this episode because
I regret to inform you that's impossible.
no, I don't want to talk about. I won't participate. I'm going to remove myself from the conversation.
You'll
if
recuse
the
yourself
topic-
from the
I
Elvis
will.
tangent.
Because I will say that I'll put it out there. If Lerman ever wins one of the, I have put my name on the. That's one that I text you about
wanna do
frequently.
Elvis.
I want to
Yeah.
do the Elvis episode because I have a lot to
I
say
want to do
about.
Baz.
So if next March Madness,
What's just interesting about looking at his career as I'm looking at it right now is it's like he still makes these kind of grown-up dramas that do pretty good, like Charlie Wilson's War did pretty good.
Bridge of Spies
obviously,
does pretty
Bridge of
good.
Spies did quite
Kind
well.
of grown up triples.
And another one that did like, The Post made 80 domestic, 180 worldwide.
His zone kind of becomes more, he can take a grown up drama to 60 to 80, which very few other people can.
A Man Called Otto made like a fair amount of money not that long ago, despite being not very good and about a man called Otto. Like,
Yes.
it's like in Bridge of Spies, you're like, this is set during the Berlin, Wall. Like you're like, oh, and Man Called Otto. What's it about? It's like, I don't know. There's some fuck called Otto.
The
It's
fuck
like,
called
pretty grim, dark subject
it is
matter.
quite a dark
But
movie.
That is a movie
Yeah.
that really you see the
He wants
star
to die.
power. The
Yes.
star power is
Right.
able. Anyone else in that movie, it does not make that money.
Like Tom Hanks getting A Man Called Otto to 65 is arguably more impressive than Hanks at his
Now,
peak getting Apollo 13.
That's
to-
the last time Hanks made a movie that was big in theaters, I will say, because since then and sort of around then,
two Wes Andersons.
beyond that, I
Lot
just
of
want to
streamies.
point out he's made some streaming movies, Greyhound, Pinocchio, News of the World was sort of like, that's a pretty good movie, but that was sort of a pandemic-y
Finch.
movie.
It was
Finch.
Because his things were in this sort of like mid-tier grown-up movie zone.
With budgets, but
I think Sony had both Finch and Greyhound. And like the moment the pandemic started, Sony sold both of them.
to Apple.
He was like one of the first guys where his movies went straight to streaming rather than theaters holding
and
them back.
Greyhound is pretty good.
Those are
Never seen Finch.
Greyhound and Finch are both movies I'd love to see in a theater.
Finch I really want to see it.
I keep waiting for there to be a moment when some of the pandemic streamies in particular get even the slightest of. I think it'd be a great film festival for some theater to do like
Connor, I
6 months of
considered
streamies.
doing the curated, the streamy era. But yes, as you said, those two movies got sold straight to Apple Plus. Greyhound is still, I think, their most
They're
popular
making a
movie
sequel
ever.
to
They're
Greyhound.
making a sequel.
Yeah. Which I'm excited
Pinocchio,
for.
they decide is going to stream before it starts filming.
Yeah.
And then
I wonder
it
why.
turned out horribly. News of the World was like a same day VOD thing.
That's a good movie.
Pinocchio? Robert Zemeckis'
But- and
Pinocchio,
since
probably the worst film he's ever been in.
It's a tough movie. And since then, he's done 2 Wes Anderson movies, which he's excellent in both.
He's got one great scene in Freaky Tales, a movie I'm the only person who talks about.
It's on my
Freaky
list.
Tales, I ordered it sight unseen because there was a point when I was making Dead Eyes before we got to spoiler for the most recent episode of Dead Eyes. Before I got to Tom Hanks and resolved everything with him, we are now on good terms. I want to say that going.
Right, you've talked to Tom Hanks.
We have had multiple interactions. He has been very good to me.
Have you interacted with him much since you interviewed him?
Yes.
What do you just text him
No, I don't take it. I have his email, but I do not take advantage of that. I emailed him once when the episode came out, but he put me in his audiobook.
Oh, that's
his audiobook, which he wrote a novel called The Making of Another Major Motion Picture Masterpiece. It is about the fictional making of a Marvel style superhero movie and about all the things that go on in the movie. Said there is an actor in that novel who gets fired.
And you voiced the actor.
I voiced the
That's
actor.
fun.
I voiced the actor who replaces the fired actor, and they specifically says that the fired actor has dark eyes. So that his novel is very much, I feel, in conversation in some small way with my podcast.
Can we pin?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
What the email exchange you had with him after the episode was released? I just want to circle back to that.
Yes, we can absolutely. Yeah. But Freaky Tale, like I got into
Freaky Tales is the Anna Boden Ryan Fleck
that I like, and it has
anthology
been roundly ignored. And Lionsgate Limited put out a special VHS edition of the 4K.
It's on my to watch list.
I liked it quite a bit.
I'm going to check it out.
Hanks kills one scene in it, and his casting is really interesting. The way they use him,
it's really fun. When I was doing the podcast, I decided I was going to own every Tom Hanks thing on Blu-ray or on whatever format the best format I could get them on.
Don't explain it to me. It's how I interact with this podcast.
And I decided, well, this is a good news. I'm investing in, I think I'm going to get to Tom Hanks. It was my way of sort of manifesting. I was gradually collecting all of his work, and I have it on this little shelf in front of my desk. I also started doing it with Funko Pops because I realized
you have all the Toms.
So many Tom Hanks, a crazy number of Tom Hanks Funko Pops and variants.
He's kind of the anti-Griffin Newman in that sense.
I did this because I thought I was going to have the podcast would go on for 10 years before I got to him. And I had this vision of touring with live episodes where the Funko Pops would be like the set.
Yes.
But instead, I just have this insane wall in my apartment.
It is just one of the walls of your home.
It's just 5 different Forrest Gumps.
Yeah.
Also characters that don't have a Tom Hanks Funko, but he played Walt Disney. So I have the Walt Disney.
Okay,
so I started expanding it to that. But anyway, Freaky Tales.
Oh, wait, can I pitch something?
Yeah.
Bring the show back and then make it about getting rid of the Funko Pops.
I don't want to get rid of the Funko Pops.
Yeah, see, this is that kind of buzzkill Ben energy.
I sort of thought that's where you were going.
I think
this sort of weird stance of maybe you should stop buying toys.
If I find out I'm sick or something and I have a certain amount of time left, I will definitely do
That'll
that
be the
show.
first thing to sell.
Yeah.
Well,
but
I hope then that it doesn't come back soon.
Oh, that's nice.
I would love it to come back too. But
I bought Freaky Tales sight unseen, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
And I do think, to bring it back to Ladykillers, his performance in Ladykillers is part of this little corner of Tom Hanks, his filmography that I think of as Weird Hanks.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you.
And
obviously,
it might be the first.
I think it's kind of the first. That's what as looking at it, I'm like, oh, his career does start to change here.
It is.
Or he seems more interested in taking risks.
I feel like what you're talking about, which is what I found really interesting about this era of Hanks we're in, right? Which is he did some really smart, Sully, Captain Phillips, who are real life figures.
Yeah, he'll still play an everyman.
He was doing all the forms of transportation and the most heroic person involved in a mishap. So who's the boat guy?
Submarine, plane, Captain Phillips, I guess what is it?
Polar Express, you got the train guy.
Although honestly, as someone who's now seen the movie a billion times because of my daughter, he's malevolent in almost every form.
Even as Santa Claus,
yes,
kind of bad
it's a very strange performance. I wanted to Here is the other film he made.
Oh, sure.
Yes.
Remember Here?
Yeah.
Okay. Carry on.
I had Griffin and I had a long conversation on a ferry boat right after he watched Here, which I liked Here more than you guys did.
Yeah,
I promised a lot of close people in my life that they were going to hate Here as much as I did, and then had to listen to you and Alex Ross Perry and several others be like, you're wrong. Here is good.
I don't know if I said it was good. I just felt like by the end of it, it had won me over on an emotional level.
It's certainly trying to do that.
I'll say I'm really considering importing that Italian 4K
They're not going to do anything in the U.S.
There's a Blu-ray only, and I'm just like, am I really giving it a fair reconsideration if I'm not watching it with full pixels?
Yeah, you got to see all the Ks.
I got to see the Ks.
To me, the apex of Weird Hanks is Cloud Atlas, because that is just both a movie he talks about so fondly.
I love it.
Me too. And a movie where he's getting to be six Weird Hankses.
Nothing but big swings. The whole movie. It's a movie
one
made
of the
swings.
six characters is sort of a classic Hanksy guy. The guy with Halle Berry. Everyone else is Hanks being like, let me do this, let me do that. Like, and this Ladykillers feels like it's beginning to open that toolbox.
It's part of
poke around.
If I were to consider like Tom Hanks's career like a map of a theme park, like a Disney World style map.
Yes, sure.
That
kind of language will get you nowhere on this podcast.
The weird Hanks area, the mayor of that area is David S. Pumpkins. Like he rules over all of the Colonel Tom Parker, and
this is great. Okay, so here's the point I want to make, right?
You know what? David S. Pumpkins still holds up.
Yeah, it's still fun.
I watch it like every few months.
The Halloween special?
That I have yet to check out.
Here's what I think. I think the Halloween special is a little underrated.
Sure, it's certainly not overrated. Nobody rates it.
Really slammed, and I think it's a little funny. It's much like my take on the Ladykillers, where I'm like, I'm not going to argue this is a masterpiece.
To me,
I think it's a little funny.
It's crucial that there is a sort of not very good sequel within the show to David S. Pumpkins and a Halloween special no one remembers. That's part of being a one-hit wonder SNL sketch.
I think the second sketch was bad and was a mistake.
It was definitely a mistake, but don't you think that's good? It makes David S. Pumpkins all the more special because you're like, right, this isn't something that gets to recur. They tried and it failed.
I think they waited so long to do the second one.
I don't even remember the second one. I don't like what even happens in it.
What is
I think premise? New York City is having like negative emotions, and there's like this river of pink slime under the city, and David S. Pumpkins has to deal with it.
And they let Rick Moranis be David D. Pumpkins, his brother. Yeah.
It's like. It's a jump scare attraction. I'm
trying to remember what the structure is. I remember it was in the fucking, what's his name? It was Jack Harlow was the host.
Yeah, that's correct.
And he fucks it up. He's playing the Beck Bennett sort of reaction guy.
But the joke is that he's into it or something.
Yes.
Like they changed because Beck Bennett is vital to David S. Pumpkins.
Yes.
Like, I am so in the weeds with David S. Pumpkins is the best line in David S. Pumpkins. Either that or Leslie Jones saying, I'm crazy, long beat for David S. Pumpkins.
Yes.
Long wait.
But Beck Bennett's got Swiss watch timing in that thing, which is so key to making it work. And Jack Harlow continues to be offbeat.
Well, it's interesting because you think of early Hanks SNL, and he's the king of guest recurring sketches because you have Mr. Short-Term Memory, you have him and Lovitz as the two guys who like the creeps. And these things were Conan O'Brien written sketches. They were sort of built to recur. And then you have these classic late period Tom Hanks SNL things,
Celebrity Jeopardy, Black Jeopardy,
and they are not built to repeat.
No.
So like when they come back,
they
tried.
They brought that character back on the SNL 50th, and they did the same beat, and it didn't get laughs. And I'm like, my guy, you're copying the same exact dialogue.
Yeah.
People
know the button.
They probably need to get Conan to come in and write the second, the recurring one.
It's even more fascinating because that was just a sketch they had that they would throw at everybody, and everyone was like, maybe. And then remember, like Hank said, like that he was like, Chris Hemsworth feels like a David S. Pumpkins. Like, I don't know if I should do this.
Yeah.
Anyway.
They talk about that like he didn't have the take on the character until air, that he didn't have the voice and he didn't do the pointing.
I do a whole episode of Dead Eyes talking to Bobby Moynihan that if you want to go deep into the weeds on how it happened, it's right there, along with the oral history of David S. Pumpkins, which you can find online.
He kept being like, I'll figure it out. I don't have it yet. And then it just, the one moment it mattered.
His own thing. It's still funny. It still makes
funny.
me laugh.
It's still funny.
And the roots of Pumpkins can be found in his performance in Ladykillers, I think, in terms of like that.
This is the theory I want to put out. This is the theory I want to put. I think he's good in this movie. This is the theory I want to put out. In the way he talked to you on Dead Eyes, right? Especially about his early career and him being like a summer theater festival Shakespeare guy, you know? A guy who had ambitions, but it does seem like he is still kind of surprised he became as big of a star as he did, right? That at some point he got slotted into sort of like inoffensive leading man territory in a way that got him sitcom guest roles and then TV movies and bosom buddies and all this sort of stuff. You know, he was sort of like, I was a guy at the moment. It kind of made sense. And then he just keeps evolving into becoming like America's truest North Star, right? And I do not get the sense that he's a guy who feels imprisoned by what the persona of Tom Hanks became. Everyone I know who ever has worked with him, crew and cast alike, is like, that guy loves being Tom Hanks. Like, not in a self-centered way, but I have rarely see someone less burdened with their public reputation than Tom Hanks, who is happy to be Tom Hanks all the time. And yet, I do think you sense in him a little bit in the 90s where it's like, I'm a victim of my own success.
Right, I can't quite get out of this lane.
In the sense that, like, I wanted to be an actor, and now I'm a little restricted in what I could do as an actor.
Like, what is his riskiest 90s performance? Let's exclude Bonfire of the Vanities or what, like very early 90s.
It's League of Their Own. It's like, it was him playing bad.
League of Their Own is my all-time favorite Tom Hanks performance.
He's so good.
It's the time capsule one because it has all of the ambition and the striving of him doing something different, but it also has everything that's great about classic Splash Hanks.
Agreed.
Because one of my frustrations as a fan of Tom Hanks is how infrequent...
David's peeing.
All right. You'll hear this.
He's going to make his own splish splash in the toilet.
Oh my gosh.
And really project so he can hear it while he's in the bathroom.
Or should this be just for us?
Oh, maybe it's just for us.
Maybe let's let him catch up.
And let's keep referencing back to this, but not explaining what was said. Connor, make your point.
Yeah. So basically
David Sims. No, David
S.
Simpson.
David S.
Connor's got to make his point before he flushes the toilet.
All right. So I think Tom Hanks, I'm going to have a lot of Hanks takes in this episode, but
that's what we brought you.
One of the things is in his own natural voice.
Flush.
Yeah.
Fuck.
I didn't make it. He's going to feel completely caught up.
David, great news. Connor waited for you to make his point.
I didn't want to
Please go ahead.
Leave you out of it.
He thought it'd be rude to keep talking.
Tom Hanks in his own natural speaking voice, especially yelling, is one of like there might be some who are his match, but there's no one better at yelling at another person in a movie. That
yelling is 90% of Woody the Cowboy.
The first thing that
I'm gonna go absolutely
push a toy. Like that's all that stuff.
Yeah.
No one else is as good. It really is. And the first thing I remember him doing in a movie that really had an impression on me was the "I am not a fish" in Splash, where he's fully naked, cupping his genitals. And I was just like, this guy is putting it all out there. And
he doesn't put it all out there, though. And I will call his cowardice out.
He's never turned on?
I don't think so. I mean, I haven't checked every nook and cranny.
But you haven't seen Freaky Tales.
No,
so you don't
I haven't.
know. You
Maybe
don't know.
he hangs dong in Freaky Tales.
You know when I said he's got a really interesting small part?
It's just him standing there naked.
Yeah.
60-something. How old is Tom Hanks?
He has to be upper 60s.
69 years old.
Nice.
Hell yeah, brother.
Just turned 69.
But League of Their Own is that perfect thing. There's no crying in bed. There's no crying in baseball. It has that tone, that it has that timbre. There's that little scratch in it whenever he's getting mad.
Yeah.
And then we are deprived of that in a lot of his post 90s work or mid 90s and on. He's doing a dialect or he's doing a different kind of voice. Woody is one of the rare things where you hear that Hanks voice.
Yeah.
It's part of the juice of the Toy Story franchise. It becomes the one outlet for kind of a classic Hanks that's frozen in time because it's a different physical representation, but he can still give it that energy vocally. Here's kind of my master take I want to throw out, right? Big is the moment that like completely mints him as a star. He gets the Oscar nomination. And then infamously, he kind of like missteps for the next handful of years after Big.
He can't quite find what he's supposed to be doing. He stays in the Big lane of like doing kind of like comedy dramedy.
Because Big
like
is a weird example
Turner and
of
Hooch, Joe versus the Volcano.
A studio comedy that gets an acting nomination. So it's sort of like, okay, so I'm a more serious comedy star. But right, Punchline, The Burbs, Turner and Hooch, Joe versus the Volcano, Bonfire of the Vanities.
Bonfire of the Vanities is the nadir because he's horribly miscast.
There's no bonfire in Vanities.
I mean, it is.
Put out that fire!
You read the book and you're just like, how on earth? Like, they should swap him and Willis.
Yes.
Is, I guess, the simplest like solution because Willis is also kind of miscast, although he actually, I kind of like.
By the time they realized that, they'd already done that one opening shot, and they're like,
with the
can't
plane
reshoot. We
Yeah,
can't
with the-
reshoot it.
Yeah. The opening.
And
Yeah.
so, right, League of Their Own, which is 2 years later, is him hitting a reset
Correct.
button, taking a supporting role.
And
you
I
know.
think in those years, people were like, sort of, does he not get what he's good at? Right? League of Their Own was this ingenious, like, isn't the audience going to reject you? They're starting the movie playing a son of a bitch. Didn't this just backfire on Bonfire of the Vanities? But he's really smart of like the motor that movie needs is here's Tom Hanks having fun, playing washed out, playing angry, playing an asshole. But you see the Tom Hanks goodness in him, which gives you the arc over the course of the movie of we want to see this guy get his act together, right?
Also, there's a shift I'll point out, and I don't know where you mark this exactly, but if you were to watch, just go through his filmography, the first, let's say, act one of his film career is very horny.
Yeah.
Horny Hanks.
No, you're not
You wanna
wrong.
make you horny.
80s Hanks is pretty
Yeah,
horny.
Splash
80s Hanks
Bachelor
is
Party.
so horny.
Yeah.
Volunteers.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, Dragnet, he's all over Aykroyd in that thing.
yeah, I remember a shot from Volunteers. I remember a shot from Volunteers where he's like having sex with someone in like the dorm room, and
It's unsimulated.
It's just like, yeah, there's just so much stuff that you don't, if you start watching from like big on, you don't find it as much.
No, because he becomes like America's old oak tree, right?
Yeah,
Like,
he doesn't have a lot of on-screen
the George
sex.
Washington of cinema. And then the other thing is you're calling out dialects, but I'd argue like 90s, early 2000s, he's basically always staying within 10 degrees of his home base voice, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like it feels like there's this conscious thing of like, I can do a little bit of a dialect, but if I try to sound less like Tom Hanks, the audience is going to reject it. And you'd see him do talk show interviews, or you'd see SNL, which I'd argue is actually
That's where he
the
gets to be
starting
still the
point
guy.
of
Yeah.
Weird Hanks. Where like once a year, once every other year, he comes on, he's a great host. People are like, man, he's so game, he can play all these different characters. And then people in the movies are like, but don't get too far away from that.
I'm going to open the dossier.
Then Catch Me If You Can, he's doing a big swing Boston accent, and people are sort of like, huh, that leads to Ladykillers Terminal. And as you said, Polar Express, which is a big hit, but all three of those movies are 2004. Polar Express is him trying to do Weird Hanks in a movie.
Sure, sort of. I mean, sort of.
It's part of why the performances don't work, in my opinion.
the hobo especially and stuff like that. What's up? I'm going to open the dossier.
And then from that point on, it's this balance between him finding sturdy adult fare and opportunities for Weird Hanks, but it does feel like when he's doing shit like Saving Mr. Banks.
He's phoning it in something like Saving Mr. Banks.
I think he's not bad in it, and that's another one that makes like 80 or 90 or whatever.
But that's him like putting the twinkle on autopilot.
Yes.
Taking a nap.
It is him feeling still, I got to represent some idea of what Tom Hanks is. I would argue in the last 5 or 10 years, he's like, I fully do not give a shit anymore.
Yeah.
And he
kinda
doesn't
what
do
wants.
any calculation about like, is it beneath me to do one scene in Freaky Tales? The West
No.
parts aren't as big as
Well,
you would imagine.
He loves doing the West
Yes.
parts. And like when I interviewed Wes Anderson, it was so obvious. I think I said this, like how proud Wes is that Hanks came to set. And Wes is like, look, this is how we do it here. There's no trailers. We all live in the hotel. We all eat dinner together. Everyone is on set at all times. And Hanks was like, this rocks. I wish everything was like this. And apparently can just sit down in a chair and go like this. Like just go to sleep. But he's so good in those movies. I still think he's concerned with boomer representation. Like here, that's a boomer movie. Greyhound, boomer. Like he's still like out there being like, don't worry, the boomers have their man on screen.
When
you
he's
know?
the guy.
When he's the guy.
When he's trying to mount a movie under his name, but I feel an energy from him showing up for literally one scene in Phoenician.
Such a great scene.
Feeling so freed.
The Phoenician thing strikes me definitely also as him just being like, I really enjoy Asteroid City. Like I like going to that vacation.
Also, I want to play.
Yeah,
I just want to act. I want to not
100%.
feel burdened by my reputation.
I am so excited at the possibility that he might be part of the ensemble in
I
all
think
future
that's
West
the
things.
vibe.
And eventually, like, we'll get our Steve Zissou. We'll get our
Right.
Wes
Wes
will do
will
a
be
movie
like-
that'll be like, let's give Hanks a
Like
really
the thing
like
with Del Toro, where it's like Wes keeps seeing him,
yeah.
and is like, I keep thinking of you as like Aristotle Onassis, and Del Toro apparently was just like, I could do that. And Wes
The
was like,
last-
all right, like hold that thought. Like,
The last thing I'll say is that I had a thing, and this is something I always had it in my back pocket as like, oh, we could do a Dead Eyes episode that'll sort of explore this, but I never really talked about it because we never got around to it. And it is that the Ladykillers, see, I'm tying it back in here. The Ladykillers lands in an era where I had this observation about the movies that Tom Hanks was doing and why he was doing them. And
This
it was
is my favorite.
frustrating to me.
Connor take, and it's the main reason I wanted to make
What's
sure
the
you were
take?
on this episode, because this is a great example of it.
The pre part of the take is I always felt like the best Tom Hanks movie that Tom Hanks never made was The Truman Show.
Sure.
Because
sure.
I always felt like Jim Carrey was too weird to be playing, and the way he plays it is like a weird guy. And I'm like, that movie I think makes more sense to me if it's like the ultimate Tom Hanks movie. I'm just a normal guy, and then I find out this neighborhood is a TV show, as opposed to like, hi, I'm the guy who lives in the neighborhood, and it's a TV show.
Cameras doing here?
But I say that as that I always wished that was a Tom Hanks movie. I started looking at this period of movies where Tom Hanks would show up in the movie after the one that would have been the slam dunk, meaning he sees Shawshank Redemption. He's like, I gotta do a film like that.
What's
And
that guy's next movie?
What's Frank Darabont's next movie? I want to star in it. It's The Green Mile. Everyone's less favorite of the two.
But still
Still a good movie, but it's
works.
not Shawshank Redemption.
And you're like, Hanks could have played Andy Dufresne. Like, that was too risky a move for his stardom.
Then you have
American Beauty.
American Beauty, which I maintain, even before all of the Kevin Spacey news, I maintain that movie is far more subversive if it was Tom Hanks
Absolutely.
playing that
Sure.
role. I think the
Spacey
whole movie
is-
works better
Yeah.
because Kevin Spacey, even just his cinematic history, you're like, if
He
he's
plays
not
villains.
cutting off Gwyneth Paltrow's head,
Yeah.
he's a good guy. Like the bar is so low
No,
for.
Spacey was always a slimeball. That was his thing.
Whereas
way back to Working Girl.
Tom Hanks playing that role, I feel it would be like, oh my God, he's like really going through this midlife crisis. It would have
Hanks
been
in American Beauty, that movie would still have some juice.
Tom Hanks jerking off in the shower, which is the start of American Beauty,
Mhm.
would actually like sort of throw audiences out of their seats.
And when I
Yes.
picture like the comedy
But
part
it's
of
actually not possible. Like,
of-
that movie couldn't be made. I'm serious.
Yeah.
Like, it would be too shocking.
Even a DreamWorks.
it would have been, I think
yeah.
it would have been a great movie and the ending would have made sense.
Him
you
not-
wouldn't have,
yeah.
him being like, this
can't
isn't
fuck
who
Mina Suvari.
this isn't
Right,
who
yeah.
I am. The decency of that last scene and the tragedy of that movie would have felt like
I
still
don't
be,
disagree with you.
I'd still be crying about that movie if that was a Tom Hanks movie.
Mm.
But then he shows up for the next Sam Mendes film, Road to Perdition.
Which he's good in.
I think
He's good
fine.
in.
Yeah.
But when I think of what the Tom Hanks American Beauty would have been, I would have been like, that would have been a movie that actually said something. Whereas when you cast America's favorite like sociopath as the main guy, you're kind of like, okay.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
And then you have George Clooney doing Oh Brother Where Art Thou, kind of making the
Yeah.
Coen brothers like movie stars can star in Coen brother movies.
Yeah.
It has to be the thing that Hanks is looking at that gives him the
Being
security.
like, why can't I do that?
I can do this. Right? Yeah.
And then you have this movie that has like T-Bone Burnett infused soundtrack. We're going like Americana, like
It is the closest cousin to O Brother in their filmography.
and you could always feel this thing of like someone does something and then Tom Hanks will be like, I want to be in that next person's thing. And it always ends up being a little bit like it's not quite the thing.
And what is the movie that the Coens make right after Ladykillers? 3 years later, but their immediate following film.
No Country for Old Men.
Correct. Like, this is the other part of your argument I like, is sometimes he's a little early.
Right. He's thought of the person to collaborate with, but he's picked the wrong.
They're at the wrong point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
He
I
is
kind of
still
think Tom
primarily a filmmaker first actor.
I weirdly can imagine Tom Hanks in any of those three roles in No Country for Old Men. Like there's a version of that movie. I don't know if which of those is the best. And it's hard to picture anything in that movie changing in such a drastic way and not feeling like a diminishment. But there is part of you that has to feel like, oh, I do this movie and then their next one is the one that like.
And if they announced tomorrow that the Coens were reuniting and making a neo-Western and Tom Hanks was one of the three leads, I'd be hooting and hollering. If the implication was that Hanks was going to be in a Coens movie in that mode at his current age, that's the other thing, is he's got just like so much innate gravitas now that he can throw out.
The Ladykillers, of course, is an Ealing comedy directed by Ealing legend Alexander McKendrick. Have you guys seen The Ladykillers, 1955?
I, in fact, rewatched it last night.
And how'd you find it?
I like it a lot.
It's not my favorite
fine.
Ealing comedy.
Me neither.
But it's totally good.
Now, both of you have...
And it has Alec Guinness doing this shit, better than anyone can do it. Alec Guinness, who is one of the sort of 10 guys, I think, can make the argument for the greatest screen actor who ever lived. No offense to Tom Hanks, who I like a lot.
Yeah, well, the thing that's impressive with Alec Guinness, it was how versatile and chameleonic he was, while also being able to do a really incredible home base performance.
Right. And also, he could sword fight like nobody else.
He could do everything.
Take that, Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Oh.
I only saw the original Ladykillers.
David's doing some lightsaber fighting.
I'm doing Obi-Wan's very forced lightsaber stuff.
I only saw the original Ladykillers last week, and I watched it in preparation for this episode.
Do you like the Ealing comedies? Do you have a base on the Ealing comedies in general? I watched a lot of those when I moved to England.
Those have more of a relationship to British culture than I do. So I'm kind of looking to you for a little bit of understanding on the original.
I don't know if I've even seen any other Ealing comedies.
You ever see
I lived in England for a while. I went to school in England. I didn't see any of the Carry On films, and I didn't see any of the Ealing comedies.
The Carry On films is one of those things where it's like, watch Carry On Camping or something, and like, you're fine. The rest of them, the exact
it's an easy weekend. It's just 47 movies to know.
What is Carry On?
They're the epitome of like old-fashioned British comedy, which is basically like, there's a bunch of situations happening.
I want to light the fire.
And it's always like a lot of like, oh, and like someone's top flies off and everyone's like, oh.
But they were they were like the early British equivalent of like the Friedberg Seltzer like date movie, epic movie, where you're like, 3 of these are coming out. How do they turn them out so quickly?
And there's a posh guy who goes like, it's the epitome of like corny 40s post-war.
I want to light the fire for the blankies on the Patreon. This sounds like a great Patreon series.
Yeah, it only takes us 3 years.
All of the Carry On movies.
Every year for decades, there'd be like 3 of them, and they were like, Carry On Receptionist, Carry On Shoe Salesman, Carry On Ancient Rome.
It does speak to the sort of British tradition where their dedication to like ceremony is that if like you accidentally make something like a Carry On movie, then you have to keep making them.
It has to take the piss out of every single thing before the series can be retired.
So the Ealing comedies, Ben, just to give context for
they're
listeners,
the sophisticated counterpoint. Right?
It's post-war. There's Ealing Studios, which Ealing is a neighborhood in West London, like that produces a lot of films that I really think epitomize Britain after the war. This kind of like chipper, sort of mordant, like they're very sweet, but they're a little dark. And like Whiskey Galore, Kind Hearts and Cornets is obviously a famous one. That's the one where Alec Guinness,
the one I like the best, although I have not seen many of them.
Alec Guinness plays a bunch of roles. Yeah. I highly recommend to anyone The Lavender Hill Mob, which is an amazing movie. Really, really funny with Alec Guinness. And Alec Guinness is in a ton of them. Man in the White Suit, Barnacle Bill, The Ladykillers. There's lots of them. They tend to be, funny, but kind of dark comedies. And the Coen brothers, what I want to know is what's their relationship to it. I guess a remake of The Ladykillers had been sort of at Fox since the mid 90s. At Disney since the mid Touchstone.
Makes perfect sense as a title to remake. There is a sort of just like simple log line for this movie. And especially because I think it is kind of seen as one of the canonical classics in British comedy.
And it has a sort of simple setup of like a bunch of criminals are trying to get one over on this old lady, and like she somehow is indestructible.
But it's not as well known here in the States. I've always been a little.
But it's a piece of IP, and Disney had it. They have this. We got the Ladykillers IP.
I guess they bought it in some way.
Robert Harling, who wrote Steel Magnolias.
Take them.
In 1998 was announced as the writer and director of a Touchstone Ladykillers remake that was going to take the original London setting and bring it to the big, easy Nolans.
Oh.
And yes, this cup of tea was going to turn into a pot of gumbo.
Oh. Snow gators.
They're what? Sorry. Harling leaves the project, and on comes Barry Sonnenfeld, the Coen brothers cinematographer of yore.
Get out of here, Harling. Barry's here.
Who had just made Wild West.
It's a bit of Wild West.
And Wild West had not done very well. Nonetheless, he is prepping Men in Black 2. He's also prepping Big Trouble. He's the one who brings in the Coen brothers to polish the script because he's their old pal. It was a writing assignment. The Coens had an English father. He's an American citizen who joined the army but he was born in Britain or something. Like the Edward Coen is the guy.
And Joel and Ethan had written together before.
No,
they never directed a movie together.
But they've been writing together.
They're as a writing team.
They'd grown up with the Ealing comedies, and They love them. This is not a situation like True Grit coming up where they're like, fuck that movie. They have plenty of reverence for the Ladykillers.
Yes. But also, as we've said before, post Big Lebowski, which was really like a kind of knockdown moment for them, they start taking for hire writing gigs in a way they hadn't before and being like, you know what, sure, we'll polish a script. We'll do a pass. We'll like on assignment, adapt your material. This was straight up just a gig for them. Now, can I jump in for a second? Because this is not in the dossier, but I cross-referenced with JJ. My friend Barry Josephson, producer of The Tick and Disenchanted.
But end of this.
He was Barry Sonnenfeld's producing partner.
Yes.
I think it's a little bit more of a title than when I talked to him about it. He was not a very hands-on producer on this. But
he would have been had Barry directed it, one assumes.
Exactly.
Yes, right.
So he was developing it with Barry Sonnenfeld for a very long time. He teams up.
Is this the first time that they teamed up as the two Barrys?
So he had been the head of production, I think, at Columbia Pictures. And then after Men in Black is delivered, he's like, this guy is going to be on such a hot streak. I'm leaving my position and going into business with him as a producer. And then they proceed to make 3 shitty movies in a row.
Wild West, Big Trouble, and I guess
that David listed. So the wheels are already kind of coming off the wagon at this point. Also do the pilot of the Warburton Tick show together. The thing that Barry told me that is not on the record anywhere, but he said I'm allowed to share here.
Go ahead.
Was that the Sonnenfeld
go ahead.
Coens scripted Ladykillers was meant to be a vehicle for Nicolas Cage. I think I might have said this in the Raising Arizona episode.
You could see that. That makes sense.
He drops out of it. I want to say maybe to do adaptation.
I mean, it's sort of the Nicolas Cage era of like him doing like Family Man and Weatherman, like these sort of like comedy. I can see that he would seek this out.
But Nicolas Cage is a star who, even though he had become a little broader,
man, realizing he did a lot of movies about men.
He loves men.
Yeah.
He was kind of the original manosphere.
Right.
Yeah. I'm sorry, the manosphere. But he makes sense as a guy who had become such a big star, and yet being weird was part of his brand. And if he had shown up with weird teeth and weird facial hair doing a voice in this movie, people wouldn't have been like, absolutely not my Nick Cage, right? Cage drops out for some other project. I think it was adaptation. And when that happens, Sonnenfeld's like, I really just wanted to do it with Cage. If he's not doing it, I'm not interested. And that's when the Coens get the call up.
The way the Coens describe adapting the film, they say it was fun to desecrate it, essentially. This is Joel. Frankly, the idea of despoiling a work of art kind of appealed to us. So they're sort of having fun mucking around.
Well, another key part of it is they're writing it assuming they're not going to direct it. So they're like, who cares? To a certain degree. This
probably a little bit who cares. They have the original, the lady is a stereotypical old lady. She's a genteel English lady, right? And they were like, we want the lady to be more of like a kind of rock of faith type, like more of a sort of tough old broad, right? And so they have this idea of this sort of Southern Baptist Black woman. And this, similar to Intolerable Cruelty, which we just discussed, starts as a writing job. So yes, maybe their passion for it is not as initially intense as some of their projects.
Look, I think they liked the idea of doing it. It doesn't feel like a movie they would have strategically developed from the ground
they certainly,
up to direct.
Once Barry drops out, they decide they want to do it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like they got forced into it.
No, it was their choice. But this is that era. It's the 2 movies in a row that feel like things that were for hire jobs at bigger studios that could be seen as broader, more commercial plays that they decide to direct themselves. The 3rd movie in this trilogy that never comes to pass is their Gambit remake, which they had similarly written on assignment.
Who ended up making that?
I think it's Michael Hoffman.
That sounds right.
Made it with Cameron Diaz and Colin Firth and Alan Rickman. Is an ultimate movie that doesn't exist, but is a movie that
it did make a name for itself out here. Just to complete both the New Orleans and the Gambit.
Well done. 100 flaming card points.
They claim, and perhaps they're correct, that this is the first IBS movie. They're kind of proud of how lowbrow the humor is.
Here's my big take. This
at a certain point, they're like, we're doing like loser Ocean's 11. We're doing like an Ocean's 11 where everyone's an idiot.
This movie feels to me, it finally hit me last night. This feels like if the Coen brothers had directed a Happy Madison movie in this era. And I think to a lot of people, that sounds like an absolute nightmare. And it's a cross-section of 2 things I like that even if I'm like, this is not the best use of anyone's time, I'm kind of happy it exists. But absolutely, like the amount of shit jokes in this combined with everything else.
Well, especially the fact that the IBS runner in the movie,
And it does run.
it does it ever.
J.K. Simmons' character, to be clear, is the
It all just builds to a very quick sort of bait and switch gag, which is you think he's having a bowel movement, but he's being killed. It doesn't actually really impact the heist, which is sort of your expectation, is that
the heist in general is not that important in this movie.
It's funny, actually, though. You're right, though, because it's like they keep setting it up as like, and here's another ticking bomb.
Right.
That's a complication. And it like goes off twice, but neither time in a way that actually causes problems. He both has to shit when they're on the riverboat, and he needs to shit when he's in the tunnel.
But like whenever he needs to use the bathroom when they're actually in the casino, you feel like, oh, they're going to get caught. Nothing goes wrong with it. There's a lot of the sort of the way that like Lebowski keeps defying your expectation of how one of these things is supposed to go. Like how the way things go wrong will frequently be like, well, that's not the way I expected it would go wrong. And there's a lot of things like that in this.
They set you up to know how things will go wrong, and then they kind of don't happen.
Yeah, and I think that that's one of the reasons why I think a lot of people initially were not satisfied by The Big Lebowski, because they're actively sort of defying the thing that we know will satisfy an audience, which is you set something up and then you pay it off. And I think they're enjoying that. And I think they also do that in like The Man Who Wasn't There. There's a lot of like the Coen brothers like doing that thing, which is like, you think we're going to do this, but that because they know how to set up a joke. And I think there's a part of them that likes like, we're going to set up the joke and then tell you a different punchline at a different time than you're expecting, and you'll never get the thing that you were expecting.
Now, that having been said, when they do that in a drama, I think people receive it as, oh, it's kind of a profound statement on the unknowability of life, right? And the lack of control these characters have. When they do it in a comedy, there is often this response of, so they're just fucking with me. None of this matters. You know, I feel like there's this kind of knee jerk that Lebowski got of just like, oh, so they're just like fucking around. This whole movie's a lark. That I think then gets filed under people's like, are these guys arrogant?
The Coens, while they finish their script and decide to take over the director's chairs, realize Tom Hanks is their first choice. They approach him. Tom Hanks
have been Foghorn Leghorn.
Yeah, he turns out he's just a cartoon.
Foghorn did test though.
Yeah.
And that's when they realized he was just a cartoon.
Also, I believe this was after Back in Action.
It was. So his box office,
like he was poisoned. At this point, Foghorn Leghorn in the early 2000s, Hollywood was like, we are not in the Foghorn Leghorn business anymore.
People forget how much the failure of Looney Tunes Back in Action at the box office got pinned on Foghorn, which I don't think is fair because he's not even
which I say
much.
That's not fair to Foghorn.
Yeah. I say.
Yeah.
So Hanks obviously is not that drawn to we're remaking the Ladykillers, but loves the Coens, had never met them, likes their movies, really likes Raising Arizona, Blood Simple, Fargo.
Opportunity to go weird.
And has every reason at this point to trust that this will be a fantastic film.
They have a great track record. He's never seen the Ladykillers. He says he's probably seen Kind Hearts and Cornets, but that's it. So he doesn't have like a big grounding for the Ealing comedies outside of Reputation. He doesn't watch it. He doesn't want like Alec Guinness entering his brain.
They do style him fairly similarly. I mean, they come up with an Americanized Colonel Sanders-fied version of it, but the paleness and the red around the eyes and the teeth. Clearly, the Coens are latching on to some element of this character looking sickly and like a zombie is part of.
I also think, though, I think it was a good impulse. Sometimes I think like the danger is that you'll accidentally do something that's stealing without meaning to, because you'll just have parallel thinking. I do think if it would be if you were just watch a bunch of scenes, just scenes of the character and put them in a mix with a bunch of other scenes, I don't think you'd be like, oh, those two are the same character in two different movies.
Sure.
He invented a whole backstory for him of like he's on sabbatical from some university because there was a sexual harassment lawsuit and he's like Hanks gets to work figuring out who Dor is.
I love that none of
the
it's
Coens
explained.
kind of just let him do that. And his first trip to the Cannes Film Festival is with this movie.
And it plays at the Cannes Film Festival
in competition
after it has come out in the United States and flopped.
Yes, because it came out in March in the U.S.
Yes.
And so
It was
right,
March
came
or
out- yes.
April. Yeah.
And it
But
wins the jury prize for Irma P. Hall.
It's a special award for Irma P. Hall outside of the 2 acting awards that it's the Tarantino jury.
The Cannes Film Festival, Ben, usually just gives out 2 acting awards, gendered, right? And it's 2 performances, male and female. They gave a special award created just for this extreme circumstance, handed out by Quentin Tarantino to Irma P. Hall in this movie 6 weeks after it flopped.
It's another Cannes triumph for the Coen brothers.
Is Samuel Jackson in Jungle Fever the only other time that happened?
I don't know. It's a time that it happened. I don't know everything. But what his memory is that he had a great time at Cannes with The Ladykiller. Big standing ovation. Everyone enjoyed it. Makes sense. This is the kind of movie French people are like, yeah, this is what America's like, right? And then he's like, and then the next year he went with the Da Vinci Code, and obviously we had a giant reception and red carpet and all that. But by the time the movie was over, he was like, the theater was half empty.
Right.
You know what I mean? And he's like, obviously that movie made $1 billion or whatever, but like I had a better time. Marlon Wayans begged to be in this movie, he said. He said, I begged and pleaded and hit the casting couch, and I did both of them. JJ notes, Jesus.
He hit the casting
That's
couch.
Marlon's quote that I'm sure is meant to be a joke. And thank God JJ editorialized to let us know that he does not approve of that joke.
He basically, Marlon's like, I watched all their movies. I found, I sort of get the kind of like cartoonish Bugs Bunny energy.
I jerked off Ethan, then Joel.
See, this is why I do think that there is...
Did a kind of 1906.
When I hear that, because that is a Marlon original joke.
Yeah.
I detect some of that voice in his character in this movie.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I mean, Marlon is so interesting. I think he is such a powerful performer. And there is the swing between his own projects, which are not always exactly my cup of tea, but I can't deny he is like very engaging on screen. And then anytime he like hands himself over to a director and is like, I want to do your thing, I think he's kind of incredible.
Okay.
Like he's great in Requiem.
He's good in Requiem. I don't like that movie at all.
I don't either, but I think he's
Wait,
great.
Requiem for a Dream?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's good
excited. Be excited.
Everyone in that movie is just dialed to 5,000.
Oh.
He's horrendous.
It ends so badly for some of those
Dungeons and
characters. I
Dragons.
find.
Yes, but I'm not counting that as a real
Don't
director's
you find
movie.
some of the characters in that movie, it ends badly for them?
Yeah, they don't have.
That's my take on that movie. I feel like a lot of those characters meet a bad end.
I loved
You're
him
right.
in Air.
I think he's great in Air.
I liked him a lot in On the Rocks.
Yeah, I thought he worked in that. On the Rocks, mostly my takeaway was like, God, he's still hot as fuck.
This is the other thing.
He's a
Marlon
good-looking
Wayans
guy.
is so handsome.
He's a really good
and he's
guy.
aging impeccably.
And it's not like Sean isn't handsome. Sean's also
No,
good
but
looking,
Marlon sneakily
rings.
has... Yeah.
But obviously, he doesn't do a lot of what we're talking about. He largely is in other stuff. I think he's really funny in Norbit.
He is really funny in Norbit. I also think he's good in G.I. Joe.
Yeah, is he?
I think he's kind of good.
Is
in
he? Or are
I
you
think
just
he's-
saying that because that's the other one?
I think he's kind of good in G.I. Joe.
I don't remember him being much of anything in that movie.
Wallace Whipcord Weems?
That's who he
Wallace
is.
Ripcord Weems.
Nobody in that. Everyone feels. I enjoy that movie. Okay, everyone feels a little lost in it. It's a lot of
It's
garbage.
so silly.
Yeah.
It's one of the silliest movies ever made.
I've never seen any of them.
Silly.
There's just 2.
No, there's three.
Oh no, there's 3. If
You're
you count
forgetting.
Snake
We got the origin of Snake Eyes.
I don't think I think I tried to watch that one and couldn't even finish it.
Here's the thing about it. It's not very engaging.
No.
It is a classic like Patton Oswalt joke. You know that guy Snake Eyes? Oh yeah, with the mask and he doesn't talk. He's so awesome. Here's a movie about who he was before he got the mask when he
Turns
used to
out
talk a
something
lot.
bad happened to him involving dice. Wayans decides his character is the audience's point of view. I guess I can kind of see that. I don't really know.
Only in the sense that he's the only person who feels
Talking.
yeah, and he's in a modern world.
I also think that's a helpful thing for an actor to have.
Speaking to a point we made, this is a quote from Joel Coen.
Mm-hmm.
Marlon was funny as hell, and he improvised a lot of that stuff.
Well.
We were telling Marlon he should
I say it does seem that Marlon improvised a few of the lines in the movie.
And we shall get waffles. Maybe I
Of course,
just
I
need to
couldn't
do
be in the movie because I
Foghorn.
was box office poison at the time.
We were telling Marlon
I
he
was
should
blacklisted, I say.
really be given a writing credit because of what he does in some of those scenes. He was great. Irma P. Hall, kind of one of those, like, actors with a million credits.
But much like, what was the name of the woman in the original Ladykillers? She only started acting in her 50s.
Right.
And then
The original.
that was her first major role. She wins the BAFTA for Best British Actress and dies 2 years later. And
Kate
it was
Johnson.
her only above the title role. Irma P. Hall, similarly, I think doesn't have her first screen credit until her 50s.
Yeah, she's got like a couple things like back in the day, but she really, I think, properly starts acting in the late 80s. She's very good in the film A Family Thing, which she got like some critics notices
I didn't realize at the time that was the same actor who's in when the Ladykillers came out. Her performance is so different.
She's I think generally.
Yeah.
Anytime you see her in a movie, you're like, right, this is like a very, very good character.
And just
actor
the briefest of moments
stuff.
to lament the loss of Billy Bob Thornton as a screenwriter, because there was that era where he was writing a bunch of movies, and I felt like A Family Thing was my favorite thing he wrote.
He also wrote movies that were about like real life in the South, and it was like, oh yeah, this guy has like some grounding on that. And now he's like,
now he puts it all into his songs.
Yeah.
Can I just give a really quick Irma rundown because I think it's interesting? She was a high school teacher. She taught languages. Right. Then she got side work during the summer as an interim publicist on an independent film that was filming in Dallas, where she lived.
It's called Book of Numbers. It's
right.
sort of like a early 70s crime movie.
The director saw her do a poetry reading and was like, let me give you a little role in this. She kind of gets the bug, but then she basically is like, I like acting. Let me start a local theater company. So she builds a very successful, and I think still existing to this day, theater company, and then does little roles on the side. She doesn't full-time act.
She's 90 years old. She's still alive.
She doesn't full-time act until 1984.
Yeah. And then
at which point she's like 50 years old.
Apart from A Family Thing, which I do feel like was her first sort of quote unquote breakout.
Soul Food.
She's in Soul Food, which is a very fun movie. She's apparently the grandma in Steel.
Yeah,
We're gonna watch Steel one day.
We are the Friends of Superman Patreon series.
Right. I remember her in the Clint Eastwood Midnight and Garden of Good and Evil, which is not one of Clint's best, but it's okay. She's in Beloved,
which we covered. I don't remember.
No, I think
that.
it's a pretty small
Patch
role.
Adams.
She's in Patch Adams, which I have seen.
Your favorite movie, Bad Company.
That's a tough one. What's she in that one? She's pretty far down the cast list.
She is Jamie Foxx's mom in Collateral the same year as this. Am I correct about that?
An incredible performance. It's the same year. It's the sort of the fall, when this is coming out in the spring. That's a great scene because that's the scene where Vincent's so nice to her in the hospital bed. And she's going like, oh, my son, this and that. He has his own limo company. And Vincent's realizing like what a loser Jamie Foxx is.
All the autographed photos on her
and
hospital room.
The whole dynamics of the movie start to shift. But like Cruz and her are so locked. They're so good in that scene. She's great. And like since then, I feel like she's done a bunch of
basically been
stuff,
retired for 10 years.
But
at 80, she steps away. She did the Werner Herzog doubleheader.
Yeah. My son, and Bad Lieutenant.
She's quite good, Bad Lieutenant. Yeah.
She's a great actor. She's incredibly... The Coens found her through casting. They saw her almost immediately. She was like the first person to walk through the door. They were like, she rocks, but let's see some other people. And they were like, no.
I do feel like she's the undeniable juice of this movie. I was talking to Barry about it, and he was like, by the time the Coens took over, they handled their own shit, so we were not very involved. But he was just like, she's just undeniably... We would watch the dailies and be like, this is a home run because of her.
Her quote, "It was a wonderful experience working with Tom Hanks. We bonded. I bond easily, I guess. I say that I have all these godchildren. God sends them to me, and he's become one, as well as the Coen brothers. Film was shot in Mississippi, carried a budget of about $40 million. They built a lot of sets. Everyone had a good time. The Coens had final cut, and they turned this movie in. That was what was released.
Absolutely feels like a Final Cut movie. It does not feel like it has odd rhythms.
Yep.
It is not playing the conventional studio comedy game.
And Joel Coen has this idea of like, let's try to combine gospel music and hip hop music for the score and for the soundtrack.
I think the soundtrack is incredible.
The Burwell score is very interesting, I will say. Yeah.
And there are the multiple uses of Trouble of This World.
The hymn is called Trouble of This World.
You listen to this often?
Ben, I swear to you, I bought the CD at the time. It would be a CD. I would carry it. Absolutely, it's a good ass soundtrack.
Was it on sale?
Virgin Megastore, full price.
Such a weird.
I like this movie.
God.
I want
It's
to
a
go
B
on.
minus.
I will not stand here and let Griffin be bullied for this. I do not think
it's
it is
pretty
weird.
funny he bought the CD.
I do not think it
Full
is weird.
price. Full
Griffin,
price.
Griffin, look at me. Look at me. Look at me.
Connor.
You are normal.
Thank you.
You are normal. Normal person.
Am I big and cool?
You're big and cool and
tough
normal.
And
Big
normal.
and cool and tough and normal.
Thank you.
All right.
It's a good CD. If they re-released it on vinyl, I'd buy that shit again. Record store day, limited color, right? I'd buy the shit out of that.
He'd be lining up. He'd be lining up at Rough Trade
Yeah.
in Manhattan.
Yeah. No, realistically, what I'd be doing is I'd be texting Connor and saying, hey, are you lining up at Rough Trade in
Yeah,
Manhattan?
that does sound like a Griffin.
I do
move.
usually text you the morning of record store day and go, are you lining up?
Oh, I just want to, because I don't think there's anything in the dossier. There's a song I like by the band Lush, the UK band Lush. They had an album and a song called Ladykillers.
Okay.
And I really like that a
Is
lot.
it inspired by the movie or is it
No,
just,
not at all.
You're just bringing it up because it
Is,
has
is
bring
it,
it up
that- is
because
it them
I'm on-
confessing to a horrible crime?
No, I'm on my it's a point of view song. It's a character song a la Randy Newman, sort of. No, I don't think it is. Actually, it's a stretch now that I remember the lyrics. But it is dealing with a type of problematic man.
But I think you're right that it was part of the calculation for this movie, especially them working at Touchdown again. Is we're getting T-Bone Burnett back, and we're going to do an unconventional soundtrack.
T-Bone first consulted on Big Lebowski.
Oh, right, yes.
He put that because that's why that has a really cool soundtrack. And then Oh Brother Where Art Thou was the soundtrack's more successful than the movie. And Ladykillers feels very much like we're going back to that, like
surprise best-selling album. And in fact, it sold one copy to Griffin Newman full price Virgin Megastore at age 15.
I am in the Discogs app now. I know because I'm almost positive. No shade to JJ, but I'm almost positive he did not go deep on the soundtrack release formats in the dossier. Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
Is there a vinyl?
There are 5 CD editions. Europe, Mexico, Canada, the US. And then another one that seems like it almost might be unauthorized. No, it was a reissue.
It was a reissue.
But unknown year when it was reissued.
Okay. I didn't buy the reissue. I got the original.
And it is, hold on, I want to see how available it is. There are 76 versions of it, copies of it available on Discogs. I'm going to get it.
So the film is a contemporary story somehow.
Say that with your full chest.
About a lady, a widow named Marva Munson. She's got a big picture of her former husband.
It's a big Sturgis move, although other
yes, the portrait changes, which does very.
Ninochka does that
funny.
with Lennon. I want to say,
I think there's at least one.
Sullivan's
Sturgis movie.
Travels. There are a couple Sturgis.
By this point, it was done on the Beverly Hillbillies, the TV series, where Mr. Drysdale had a portrait of his dad, and it would always change its reaction.
I want to say it is a bit that I always like. Portrait responding with faces.
Yes. So she's got a house and she rents it to after having complained about her former tenant playing hippity hop music to the great George Wallace, rents it to a classics professor named Goldthwaite Higginson Dorr.
She discovers him on her front lawn chasing a cat up a tree. I love it as an immediate save the cat subversion. Of we're seeing the worst character in the world ostensibly saving a cat as an introduction. Like it feels like their rebuke to the sort of idea of schematic screenwriting.
Right.
Yeah. But it does immediately endear him to her. And then he sweet talks her. He is the most flowery speaking man in history.
Yes, he is mellifluous. He's 10 words when one could do.
He looks like Colonel Sanders with sepsis.
And he ostensibly wants her root cellar, to rehearse music in with an ensemble of weirdos.
Church music of the Rococo era.
And he says Rococo like 400 times.
And every time I find it funny, B minus.
For sure. And she is mostly concerned with God and what's it called at the university?
Bob Jones
University, a real university, of course, which is like a very Christian university.
She sends them $5 a month.
Right. She's on their
and
their plaque.
And I think one of the more subversive jokes in the movie is the fact that you have this character that you are rooting for, who is a well-intentioned person, and her monthly donation, like ultimately any windfall that she gets at the end of this movie is going to go to this institution that has a history of racial segregation,
It's not a
discrimination.
not a great
It's-
university.
But that's the joke. Like
That's
the-
the
yes. Oh yeah, 100%.
which I actually think in 2025 is a joke that plays really interestingly because there's so much of the kind of like, I didn't vote for this. There's so much of the sort of like people who like we've had a decade now of trying to like parse the intentions of voters and like, are there good people who vote for bad people and then bad things happen and they didn't mean that. The fact that you have a hero of the movie that at the end is going to be like, oh, good, I can donate them to this
That's the win.
poisonous, it's
yeah.
a very, it's as dark an ending as the Coen brothers have had in terms of like what looks like a sunny win for a good character is like, oh yeah, but the money is going to go to this group that as of 2004, I know that there have been like some shifts. I don't know how meaningful, but at the time.
Yes, I don't want to get sued by Bob Jones University or whatever.
Oh, you don't want to get sued by them?
I don't know. They feel like.
All right, well then bleep me.
I just want to call
edit out what I said. If what I said was too hot for this podcast.
I get your gag of like
they have controversies.
Yeah. I just want to call out the original Ladykillers has the same exact kind of narrative bookend of opening with her going to the cops, saying something that they kind of dismiss as a little crazy, and ending with her going in and confessing and offering to give them the money, and then being like, this woman's making stuff up. Why don't you keep it? Right? It's got the same thing. The Coens add the idea of specifying where the money would go in such a specific way that's seeded from the very beginning of the movie, which I do think is smart. Like at the end of the original, she's just sort of like, oh, I guess I'll.
Well, we see her give money to like
a panhandler. Yeah.
And the implication is like the money is going to go to
she'll be very generous.
She'll be generous and kind because she's a nice lady.
But you have this idea of this woman who doesn't have much already giving whatever she can to Bob Jones every month. It's the other thing I like is like the character is funny in the original Ladykillers, but the bit there is more this woman is incredibly oblivious. It's all going on under her nose.
She's dotty, yes.
I like that Irma P. Hall's character has
she's
agency.
Active.
Yes, I like that she's active.
It's a great performance, in my opinion, and it's kind of like, to me, sort of the reason to recommend the movie. If my big problem with this movie is that it feels kind of lifeless and low energy, which makes no sense to me given the tone and like how heightened the performances are and how silly everyone is. I find it kind of dreary to watch. I want it to be like really goofy, really Looney Tunes. And instead, it's not. Like, and at the end, it kind of picks up the pace a little bit. Stuff's finally happening. People are dying. But a lot of it is just them sitting around.
One thing I had forgotten is that in my memory I've seen the movie twice. Once when it came out and then once recently for this. And
it's not we watch it all the time.
I think I've seen it 4 times.
My memory of it was that
fair amount.
The runner of throwing the bodies over onto the barge happened over a longer
and
period.
Instead, it's
of
kind of the
movie.
last 20 minutes.
It's all bundled at the end.
Yeah.
Where it's like that doesn't.
They have the barge before then, I guess, is sort of
you
a
see the barge,
thing.
but I'm like, the movie was almost over and they had yet to dump a body, and I'm like, oh, I remember it being spread out a little bit.
But that is structurally exactly how the Ealing one works as well.
I think this movie. I like this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the worst Coen Brothers movie.
Inarguably.
I think inarguably.
I
think there's probably some people out there who pick Intolerable Cruelty.
And to all of those people, I go rewatch it. You're wrong about that.
I think Buster Scruggs kind of has a muddled reputation, but I really like that movie.
That's partially Netflix and partially just omnibus stuff. Yeah.
Intolerable Cruelty, the last solo film that
Joel Coen's won. Well, until Macbeth. No, it's Joel.
Joel until Macbeth.
Right. It was funny that in the interviews he was like, "Yeah, since Intolerable, I've been looking for a project that really found me."
It's funny that Joel didn't direct a movie for like 20 years.
But I do feel like it's their worst movie. But I also feel like I had this thought about it that if this movie hadn't been released, let's say that the Disney looked at it and said, "We're gonna Zaslav this. We're gonna take the tax write-off. No one's ever gonna see this." Imagine we had spent the last 20 years just please release the Ladykillers. Why they made a movie with the Coen brothers made a movie with Tom Hanks. It's a remake of this classic movie and it's just hasn't been released. I think if we saw it now, we'd be so excited by all the things that work in it. It'd be like, why didn't they release this at the time? It's not perfect, but it's, I think there's there's a
There's
feeling.
some things people might bump up against.
Sure.
But sure. Yeah.
There are bumps.
Yeah.
I'm not denying the bumps in this movie.
But I do think that in the same way, I think a lot of the things that don't work in this movie are built into things that also kind of don't work in the original Ladykillers.
I'm a little inclined to agree with you. I've always been, said with no disrespect, a little perplexed by Ladykillers' seeming status as like one of the 10 greatest British comedies of all time.
I would not put it above other Ealing comedies. To me, it's a sort of like middle Ealing comedy.
I just feel like I often see it cited as like perhaps the pinnacle of the Ealing era.
No,
To me, there's something about the way the story is structured that makes it feel like this trifle, this minor sort of little story. It's not told with satisfying beats. I think there are things the Coen brothers actually improve in the sense that I think the original heist doesn't feel as interesting to me as the heist in this movie.
The original heist is really uninteresting.
And it kind of, in this movie, they need her house because
Yes.
it's crucial to the heist.
It's another thing I like.
In the original, it's sort of just a happenstance thing.
they just
you
need,
know,
I mean, they're like near.
they're
King's
near,
Cross
but they
or
could have.
whatever,
They could have.
but-
It's just
yeah.
bad
The
luck that they
train's
ended
a
up in this
distraction.
lady's
Right.
house. They could have done it in any number of places. And I think there are certain things that feel a little bit more interesting to me. When I was watching the original Ladykillers, everything that was a little different about the heist, in most cases, not every case, but in most cases, I felt like the Coen brothers had made it a little bit more interesting on the heist level.
Yeah, and then the original film, it's sort of just, what a weird house you have. They're sort of transients who seemingly are going to only rent the room for like 2 days, a night. The original
Yeah.
film takes place over only a couple of days.
The original is really concerned with Guinness, playing this character.
They move in.
and, like,
Right.
yeah, they do the
rob
string quartet stuff. They
an
do the
armored
heist,
truck.
right?
and then they try to get out and they're immediately kind of like caught and busted. This film does the sort of Ocean's 11 parody of they need to be here for the perfect plan,
Right.
which
They
we'll
gotta
talk about.
Bring in their team. Everyone has
Right.
a role to
But they're going to
play.
be here for weeks, if not months, planning this.
So like
and then
Marlon Brandt's the inside man. J.K. Simmons is demolition. Zima is the tunneler because he was in the Viet Cong.
yeah,
What does Ryan Hurst do? He's just
he's
like
the brain. He's the
muscle.
brawn.
Yeah,
he's the
right.
muscle.
And of course, Mountain Girl, played by the great Diane Delano,
Who
Love
just
her.
passed away.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
She did just die.
Yeah,
At the age of 67 of
Yeah.
cancer. That's so
it's
sad.
very sad.
I
Such a
loved her
weird
on the show
reference.
Popular.
It's such a weird reference.
Mountain Girl.
What
It's
do you-
like pulling from Electric Kool-Aid acid test.
Mm.
Oh, that's
Jerry Garcia's ex-wife, Mountain Girl.
yeah. I mean, that's a very Coen Brothers reference.
Well, this movie is modern. It's something really Grateful Dead. Like that's why, right? Because there's the bit with Greg Grunberg where they're on set, to introduce J.K. Simmons' character, and you're like,
Dog food commercial.
we're on a movie set. Like that doesn't feel right. Like
Yeah.
again, this feels like it's set in the 50s.
It is a thing I kind of like about this movie is that the team is made up of 5 guys who seem like weird, out of time cartoon characters. And you have these moments where they have to interact with the outside world. And you're like, oh, even within this movie, they are strange.
I'll also say that you talk about people's Coen brothers journey. We
Mhm.
haven't gotten into that.
Oh, Connor, tell us your Coen Brothers. journey. You're a
journey.
little older than us, so you
Canoe
you have
down
a
the
different
river
one.
of the Coen.
The first Coen brothers movie I ever saw was Raising Arizona. I was taking a college credit course when I was in middle school, where in the summer I'd go and
You were taking college courses in middle school?
I don't know why I did this exactly, but it was a
Which
thing where-
college?
I think it was Northeast Missouri State University. It might be Northwest. I can't remember. But it was a thing where for a few weeks you'd stay at a dorm and you'd take one college class. And I did this for 2 summers. And one of the summers, the class was creative writing.
Looks like it was Northwest. There is no Northeast.
Oh boy, I've been.
Well.
You really.
I've nailed you to the wall.
Oh man,
Call you in quite a pickle.
People warned me about coming on this show.
It's a bit of a
and I
gotcha
didn't
podcast.
believe them, but
yeah.
I have been.
This is
got.
like when, right, the presidential debate with the live fact checking.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Here I am.
I'm going to have to stop you there.
Oh,
David and his infamous laptop.
I can't get anything past you guys. The teacher of this class showed us a series of movies. And when I think back to the movies he picked, I'm always kind of impressed that this guy had they were interesting things to show us. He showed us Raising Arizona. He showed us Radio Days. He showed us True Stories.
Sure. Good.
Um,
Great movies all in sort
And
of
they're
similar
all
time
kind of
frame.
in that time period. just to get like a young mind thinking about how you can tell certain
and like unconventional comedies. Like there are different ways to be funny.
Yeah. And Raising Arizona was by far the one that I was just like, this movie is so funny. And like I've seen that there's a clip of Tarantino talking about Raising Arizona and talking about how it was filmed. And the feeling at the time being that like all movies will be filmed like this from now on because there's like someone figured a new way to film like funny chasing.
But it's what everyone who tries to do it learns is this is so fucking difficult.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a movie that has a lot of energy, I would say. A comedy by the Coen brothers is sort of madcap about a bunch of dirtbags that has a lot of energy to it.
Yes. A camera is electric. It's just, but I always think about the Coen brothers, their movies, as their first two movies laid this template down. And I think of this spectrum. Blood Simple is at one end and Raising Arizona is the other. Because it's hard to think of a 1-2 punch from any filmmaker.
They are showing you everything they got with those first two movies.
And we will exist between these two poles.
Which are wide poles.
Yep.
Yes.
Raising Arizona feels like the people who made Blood Simple should have failed at trying to make a Raising Arizona.
Yes.
It feels like you can't, no one can make
or
both
vice
kinds.
versa.
Yes.
Like Blood Simple's a failure, and then they're like, you know what we should do is comedy.
And every movie of theirs, I feel like, is on that spectrum. And Fargo being one that lands sort of almost perfectly in the middle, that it's like a Blood Simple that's also got this crazy...
You're absolutely right.
It's why it's their definitive film.
And another crazy thing is, if you loved Blood Simple, if you're like, this is what I want from the Coen brothers, you have to wait until No Country for Old Men before you really get another movie that fully bites at that apple. Right? Like if your jam is Blood Simple, you go to Raising Arizona, you're like, that's not what I wanted.
A Man Who Wasn't There...
A little bit,
because it's a noir, you know, like,
but it's still got a lot. It's still got a little bit more of the kooky Raising Arizona aspect to it. Even like Miller's Crossing has a little bit more of the crazy camera work. There's like a.
I hear you.
No Country for Old Men is the first movie that feels like it's a proper follow up to Blood Simple. Ladykillers is closer to the Raising Arizona side, but it has that sort of like darkness and crime and also a little bit of like. The world of Blood Simple feels like a cruel world, a mean. There's something mean.
Yeah.
There's something really, there's a mean streak in the Ladykillers that keeps it from, that I think when it works, it's great. But I think there's a lot of places where the mean streak, and I'll start with like, I went to that website, the very helpful Does the Dog Die website for the Ladykillers, because I genuinely wasn't sure whether the dog had died in this.
The dog or the cat?
The dog at the beginning on the commercial.
Yes.
And it says it's implied the dog in the commercial filming dies of suffocation approximately 15 minutes in.
Yeah.
And there's another comment saying the dog is, during filming an ad, the dog is made to wear a gas mask that suffocates him. He is shown dropping into unconsciousness. Then someone tries to resuscitate him. You see his tongue hanging out. But it's like, that's a joke in the movie that feels to me like mean in a way that it doesn't buy you much.
There are people like Ben Hosley, where if you
too.
kill a dog within 15 minutes of the movie, you've put like a boot around your car tire.
It's
like
a tough thing to ask of an audience. Yeah.
It's just immediately putting you in a bad
I
headspace.
fucking hated that part.
Yeah.
Made me mad.
Yeah.
Like if you're doing it, how do you feel about John Wick?
It's what the movie's about.
That's the engine.
You're okay when you're like, as long as this movie takes it as seriously as I'm taking
one
it.
dog dies and 100 people die in response.
Yeah.
And it was justified.
Yeah, exactly.
An eye for 100,000
It
eyes.
used to be justified.
Whereas the implied comedic death of the dog on the commercial set.
Well, it has no bearing on the plot whatsoever.
Right, it's like, right. It's used as a storytelling tool to communicate to the audience he's bad at his job as props manager.
And movie sets are not well run, I guess.
And I would say, arguably, if you were like, well, we need that moment to indicate to the audience that J.K. Simmons' character can be kind of sloppy, kind of like
bad instincts.
It is literally the thing you learn from that moment is the thing you learn from literally every other thing he says or does in the movie.
Also, by the way, the introduction of that moment is, so J.K. Simmons is introduced working on a dog food commercial that is directed by Greg Grunberg, and Bruce Campbell appears silently as the Humane Society rep. Just always love when the Coens threw Bruce in there.
Yeah.
but the dog, what is it? The collar is the prop that they're having an issue with.
We have to move on from this scene that does not matter.
No,
Okay.
it is
Well,
important.
no, I'm just going
It
through
is important as an encapsulation.
No.
the mean-spirited
Yes, it is.
aspect of the movie. I will also say there's another question on the side.
I'm going to
that
finish
says-
my point on this. I must. They go, hey, can you fly in a new collar? And instead, J.K. Simmons puts a full fucking like World War I gas mask on the dog. And Grunberg's like, the fuck are you talking about? This is scary. They need to see the dog's face. The dog needs to eat the food. And he's like, well, I just thought it was an interesting take. We're already communicating he's bad at his job by him not thinking through it creatively. And then while they're having the conversation, the dog dies, which is just a heightening of he's bad at his job that leaves a bad taste in people's mouth. I do think that's important to the like, there is nothing gained by killing the dog. The story beat is already accomplished by him just having the bad creative instinct. And it is in line with what this movie is doing, which is, as you said, just kind of like unnecessarily mean.
One of the other questions that I really like the answer to on does the dog die? It doesn't have to do with the dog, so it is a new point. We're starting fresh. Is someone gaslighted? Someone is continually lied to throughout the film, but I don't think it is gaslighting, is the response.
Interesting. How do we, that's a fine hair to split.
It's a really fine hair.
We have talked about it before, David, on this podcast, Blank Check with Griffin and David. But I think in the 80s and especially in the 90s, it kind of tapers off in the early 2000s. There was a run of people attempting the like pitch black, dark murder comedy, big studio comedy with movie stars, making a movie that feels kind of to its core evil and is about people trying to kill each other, to get ahead, to pull off some con, to cover their tracks or whatever. That almost always plays like a fucking lead balloon with audiences. Lucky Numbers is one that we talked about. And I think in that episode, we talked about other movies that fit into the very bad things is another one.
It's the meanness. There's a, like, the degree of how funny you have to be to overcome a certain level of meanness. It's just like, I always think of it in terms of, because I think about this in terms of like performing improv as well, where if you want to do a scene about certain things, it's just like at Chuck E. Cheese, or at any carnival where you have tickets and prizes. That's like some things like, well, that's 1 million tickets.
Right.
And there are certain things where it's like, if you're going to make a joke about this thing,
You need to hit the jackpot.
Yes.
you better have 1 million tickets worth of funny in this joke, or else you don't have enough.
It's the same thing with this movie using the N-word twice in its first 2 minutes.
Yes.
Marlon Wayans is basically pretty much every single fucking line that guy says in the movie. You're kind of like, all right. And it's like not that funny. If that shit's funny, I will forgive so much.
But he is the least funny part of the film, undeniably.
Look, if you're going to use the N-word in a movie, and it's written by you guys, like Joel Coen and Ethan Coen, that's what it says. Unless it really, really feels like, yeah, this is part of the story, and I'm just going to think about you guys writing that on your computer.
Because the thing we don't know.
And then like talking to whoever about how to deliver the line or whatever.
And even if it is a scenario where
I'm not saying you can't use I'm not trying to be some policeman.
I wasn't asking to. If you thought I was about to use the word. I'm not.
No, I wasn't. You're not about to call Michael Richards on
the shooting script. If we imagine that it's just like this was word perfect, that they did it note for note. But even if I was making a movie and someone improvised and they used the N-word a lot, I would still be editing that movie knowing that like people don't know that. It's not
They're going to filter it through
it's
me.
It's not like a little warning comes up on the screen saying Joel and Ethan were just including some pretty free takes.
He improv that. Yeah.
I do want to say one more thing, just because it amuses me, from doesthedogdie.com. There is and it does relate relate to the dog, but
Connor's turning around. This is the best episode ever.
I am confident. I am confident that you will on some level appreciate that I included this. One of the questions is there dog fighting? And the answer is, a dog is dressed as a World War I soldier, but does not fight.
That's really good. Ben, I want to ask something of Ben. The main archetypes of the gang in this film are transmuted from the main archetypes of the British film, but the characters are transformed pretty substantially. Do you want to wager a guess who played in the original the role that Marlon Wayans plays in this film in 2004?
Wait, what? What do you?
Marlon Wayans
played the British version of Marlon Wayans in the original.
And how much are you willing to wager?
He's probably willing to wager nothing.
I'm gonna wager nothing. I don't Mr. Bean? I don't know.
Peter Sellers.
Kind of close.
And
The
that was
Peter
really
Sellers, the
close.
Mr. Bean of his day.
Isn't
Okay.
that wild that in that movie it's Cockney Peter Sellers?
It's not wild. What do you mean? That's like totally, I mean, obviously Peter Sellers, but he's an Ealing standard guy. Like, that's the guy.
Griffin, I'm going
What's
to take Dave's
wild
side on
is
this.
that
I don't think it's
Marlon
wild.
Wayans
That's the
is in
backward.
this movie.
I'm sorry. That's
Yes.
the wild part
Yeah.
is who's our generation's Peter
Right.
Sellers. Yeah.
And like, I don't dislike Marlon Wayans.
I like him a lot.
But I think he's whatever. I mean, I was going to say he's not pitched right, but I don't know that anyone's pitched totally right in this movie because I really think it needs to be actually sillier.
This is my thing though, okay? So like I cannot deny your truth, right? And I know that I'm Bernie Sanders' nightmare. I'm in the 1% on this movie. I'm up against the wall, right? And it feels a little bit like
and I just shared a look where
funny,
we're like,
500
okay.
comedy points. I'm granting them to myself.
Okay.
I'm taking out a loan against my future.
Redistribution of wealth.
Yeah.
Punch after a Bernie Sanders joke.
It's a more extreme version of what I felt like on our Johnny Dangerously episode, where I'm like, I watch this and I laugh.
But Johnny Dangerously is 10 times the movie.
I
this
agree.
is, in my opinion. Like,
I
that's,
agree.
that's a pretty enjoyable
And I know
watch.
the Defenders, it's a much larger group on Johnny Dangerously. It felt like that was a 50-50 split on this podcast, but also in our listenership, right? This, I'm firmly Bernie Sanders' nightmare, the 1%. But I feel the same way where I watch this and I'm like, I like the energy of this. I'm laughing at this. It doesn't all work for me. There's a ton I bump on.
What's the funny parts to you?
I laugh like once a minute while
What?
watching this movie. I chuckle.
Name a
I'm not
moment.
kidding.
Name a
No,
moment.
you do.
Yes, I do.
Once a minute?
I watched this yesterday. I went like this. Once a minute, I went like
That's a
this.
laugh.
I did.
That's not a laugh.
I did a little
No.
quietly to myself.
What's the funniest part of this movie? What's the funniest thing that happens in Joel and Ethan Coen's The Ladykillers, their debut film?
The funniest
Yes.
thing that happens?
Yes.
Number one?
Yes.
J.K. Simmons' face whenever he needs to poop.
Sure, that's kind of funny.
No,
Every time that Tom Hanks and Irma P. Hall are engaging direct with each other,
They're good.
I am locked in.
Yeah.
I am
Yeah.
enjoying it.
Are you laughing?
I think
No, but I
genuinely-
didn't claim. I'm not a 60-second man the way that Griffin is claiming. to be.
Genuinely-
You're not Gage. You're not.
I am a 1 minute man, and I want that on the record.
You are Missy
not,
Elliott.
not just a 1 minute man, an every minute man.
An every
That's
minute
a very
man.
different distinction.
Every minute. Anytime.
Can I confess to
Please.
a thing that made me laugh, and it ties into a thing that is problematic about the film and that you don't like about the film. When I believe that Marlon Wayans uses the N-word addressing Stephen Root and Stephen Root's reaction to that, I thought that was funny.
I think Root nails the discomfort of that scene quite well because Stephen Root is a Swiss Army knife. That guy can literally do anything.
Talk about an ultimate, when is that guy bad? That guy
100%.
always nails it, and he is one of the ultimate, he understood the assignment actors, where it's like, knows what movie he's in, knows what size the role is, knows what needs to be accomplished in that scene.
Can I tell a blind item thing? A thing I can't talk about, but it's Stephen Root related.
Please, let's
Is
get to
that-
the
is
root of
this
the
the-
issue.
Is it, it's a new segment on the show?
The root of the
The
issue.
root of the issue. Do we have any play-in music for that,
Yeah, Ben,
Ben?
drop the root of the issue theme song.
Who is the guy in Office Space? King of the Hill and Dodgeball too. I don't know his name, but I know his face. Well, his name is Stephen Root, and that's the root of the issue.
Okay, we just heard it.
Great.
Oh, I love it. So every time we do this, and I'll come
really
back to do
good.
this segment.
We should press that on vinyl.
Limited edition
Stephen
record
Root
store
could do
day
it.
single.
Stephen Root's
Yeah.
character from Oh Brother could do it. Pressed it on vinyl
He
for
could,
him.
Blind Man Records.
Singing it to the can. Yeah. All right.
I worked on a thing. I can't talk about it, so I got to be very careful here.
Oh my God.
All right.
This item is as blind as Stephen Root's character in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
It truly is. Oh, classic root of the matter. What is this segment called?
Root of the
matter.
issue, but maybe it's root of the matter,
Root of
because
the
root of the
matter.
issue makes it sound like there's an issue, which
Can
there
we get a
isn't.
remix for the newly titled Root of the Matter?
I've told you before, and I'll tell you again. Stephen Root is a god among men. I'm telling the truth, I don't mean to flatter. He's the #1 character actor. That's the root of the matter.
Ooh, that is tasty.
I like that. Press that on vinyl.
Press it on vinyl. Record store day
It's a
single.
B-side.
Limited
What
edition
color?
release.
What color do you think?
What color?
Beetroot red?
Magenta.
Beetroot red.
Beetroot. There you go.
Um,
What's
so
the thing?
I was on. I can't tell you what the thing is. I
No, I'm
signed
saying, what's
documents.
the fucking story
Okay,
for
he's
crying
trying
out
to get
loud?
me.
I'm going to leave this podcast
Northeast Missouri
20-ish
State
minutes.
University.
There we go.
I was on a call sheet, and I know, which is a thing in the industry.
We all know what a call sheet is.
I was talking to your least informed listener.
Keep going.
And were you number one
here
on the
for
call
you?
sheet?
I know there's one person out there who's thinking, I can't.
Where
keep up
were
with
you
this
on the
podcast.
call sheet?
I don't low.
Sure.
Double digits?
I don't remember. I just remember being on a call sheet and noticing that Stephen Root was also on this call sheet, being very excited. I can't tell you how this thing was made, where it was made, but I was.
If you want to know how this thing got made, you could listen to How Did This Get Made? A podcast hosted by Paul
I was
Sheeran,
in a situation,
Jason
though,
Mantzoukas.
where I could hear him in the next room,
Mm-hmm.
and I heard Root at work, and it was really thrilling. I never saw him, but it felt like, oh, I've really arrived a moment. I also put myself on tape for a role that I did not get in the movie Paint.
Paint? Oh, the Owen Wilson movie? Yeah.
And I believe Stephen Root got that role.
He's in that film. Yeah.
You can never feel bad about losing a role to Root.
No, it actually feels good. It feels like whenever someone like that gets a role that I just feel honored that there was even a point where they were like, we're looking at other people.
I was running in the same route as Root.
I was on the route?
Is this story, has it happened yet? Is it done? What are we doing here?
What do you mean?
Okay, great. Okay.
Wait,
so moving on.
That I never said. Did I say it was a story?
You said it was a blind item.
Yeah, it was an item.
And we got to the root of the matter.
But let's just pause for the outro.
Stephen Root. Stephen Root. Stephen Root. Stephen Root.
Oh shit! The outro's even better.
It's a great B-side.
So what's the film about? They need to tunnel into this vault from a river.
Ironically, the value of this house is that it has a root cellar.
Root cellar.
Yes, it does. It does.
And there's a riverboat casino in this territory. Casinos cannot operate on land. They have to operate on the water, maritime law, but they have
a vault.
An underground on-land vault where the money goes every night before they lock it up.
So
and the door is impenetrable, but if you were to dig through the back wall, and this house is the closest, you could go in. Marlon Wayans is their inside man. The idea is that, much like the movie Inside Man, they can break down the wall and repair it so that it looks like the money magically vanished and no one was ever the wiser. They
so
pretend
a little spoiler for if you don't like spoilers, get out now. Jump ahead 40. This is pre-Inside Man,
2 years ahead,
the Spike Lee movie, and it kind of is the same.
Yes, it is a little bit.
It's a similar.
I want to point something out. I'm looking at the Wikipedia page for this movie. This is a 4-paragraph plot description. The first 2 paragraphs, I would say, are 80% of the movie, and the final long paragraph essentially is the climax where everyone dies. Spoiler alert: everyone but Irma P. Hall meets their end, grisly end. Kind of speaks to me to how, like, there's not much once they've sort of begun their scheme. There's not much happening.
The original film is 90 minutes long. This film is
it's 104 and shouldn't be. It should be more like 90.
Yeah. So this film's
But it wasn't made in the 90s.
It wasn't made in the 90s. It was made in the early 2000s. This film's about 15 minutes longer than that one, right? I was watching the original last night. The old lady catches them at the exact halfway point. And that movie has much less of a planning the heist. The heist takes a while thing. It's like they show up, they basically do a robbery of an armored truck.
They just block
in
a
a
street.
cul-de-sac. Yeah.
They block a street and are pretty lucky about nobody sees them.
It's like a quick hit job, and then they're ready to immediately run out. And it's the same gag executed in a different way where the money flies all over the place. And she goes, where'd this money come from? And they try to come up with an explanation, a lie. She says, you got to go return the money. And then they all decide to take turns one at a time killing her. But it's at the halfway point, 45 minutes, that she catches them. And even then, I still think it takes another 15 or 20 minutes before the first attempt is made. So the original is structured the same way proportionately. In the lady killing chunk of it is only the last 25% of the film. And it's the same thing where it's the repetition of the death. They do their own thing with throwing the bodies over a train track that's similar with the garbage barge in this movie. But I'm just saying that's from the material.
Yeah, sure.
I think this movie.
You guys, I don't like that movie that much, so that's not really. I'm not a big fan of the 50s Ladykillers.
Now I got you.
You didn't get me. That's not. I've seen that movie like once
I
on
got you
TV.
to trash the Ealing movies from your beloved
but it's
homeland.
Not a movie, like
Connor got your
the
ass.
defense of this movie can't be like, oh well, the original isn't that good, because I'm like, well then fucking
But
don't
I
make
think
it.
a bunch of listeners are going to be like, what are these guys dismissing the original? The original's incredible.
And I think the original.
I think we're in a minority
good.
here.
I think
Yeah.
the original was used as a cudgel to beat this movie with when it came out. And
The
I
problem with this
Absolutely.
movie is this movie. This movie is not very good. I'm sorry, guys.
think it's pretty good.
Here are things I laugh at.
5 out of 10.
I think it's a 6. I think it's an ultimate gentleman 6.
And a rude man 7.
To me, I'm very politely extending the 5 because everyone tried.
I think it's a B-. Can I make a couple little cases for it? And just explaining
Yes.
what I like about it,
Honestly,
right?
yes, because we're wrapping up soon.
Oh, what? This is the first I'm hearing of this.
Yes, I'm letting you guys know.
And I want to talk about Hanks's performance a little bit more because I like it.
I like it too.
Anytime he
and
has
not just because we're friends.
a continuous paragraph of dialogue, I laugh at least one thing he says.
I think that stuff's pretty funny.
I think that is the exact kind of language stuff that I think the Coens do better than anyone else on the planet, is people getting caught in circular monologues that have jokes nestled within jokes within jokes. And then the character reacting the outside being like, I have no idea what the fuck you just said.
I do think it grinds the movie to a halt. It's funny to watch him do it. He's having so much fun, and I do appreciate watching him have fun.
And he's unencumbered. You feel him for the first time in 15 years being like, I can do anything.
But it does grind the movie to a halt. It's sort of like, okay, let's stop and watch this funny thing sort of happen. Okay.
And I would say that is both part of what's wrong with the movie, and it's also so intentional in the sense that, like, you not liking it is different than them like fucking up. That part of what doesn't work about this movie is that it's a very minor kind of movie. It feels like
This is my least favorite defense of a movie.
It's a lark. This movie, no, but it's like you have to acknowledge the most I can defend this movie is still like I think it is a well executed,
This is the George
unimportant
Lucas
movie.
thing where suddenly George Lucas is in a corner. And he's like, Star Wars is for children and nobody needs to like it. Like I'm like, okay, all right, George.
But I'm also
this movie is pointless. It's fine that it's bad. No, that's not actually a defense to me.
I'm not saying
it's
that.
minor by design.
I'm saying that
sure.
Because I'm also defending the movie, saying it is undeniably, in my opinion, their worst movie. But I also think, as low points of filmmakers go, there's still
there's no defense that this is a great low point to have.
There are a lot of
no argument.
There are a lot of low points for filmmakers where I'm like, I just wish they hadn't made that movie. And with Ladykillers, I don't wish that they hadn't made this movie.
This is
I'm
one of our
glad that it exists.
This is going to be one of our longest miniseries ever, right? It is over 20 films. Including the films directed by Joel Coen solo, Ethan Coen with his wife, and Joel and Ethan together, right?
Of which this is the first. They're figuring it out, man.
But this is the lowest point.
Babes in the Woods.
And I think this is pretty high for the worst film in filmographies
and as
that
far
we've
as,
covered on this show.
As far as reclamation goes, when this movie came out, I fully was, and I know you've talked about this before, I fully was of the belief that they had lost their ability to make movies and that they were on a decline that would never stop.
This was
the movie where it was like I wouldn't go so far as are they cooked, but it's the closest.
I think the fact that this and Intolerable Cruelty were both disliked and were both seen as
100%.
them attempting to go more mainstream
with a big star, and both times the reaction from the general public is negative.
Not only do we not like what they're making, but it seems like they've sold out their own values, and now I guess they're just looking to get assignment jobs. I think people were like, well, they're done. The fact that it's like 3 full years before No Country and it felt like it kind of came out of nowhere.
I feel like when I watch it now, I feel like there is pleasure to be had in another crazy Coen Brothers movie that has its own specific thing. I don't like the mean-spirited aspects of a lot of it. There's a lot of things in it that don't work. I think the structure of it veers intentionally away from satisfaction in places.
Yeah, except for right at the end. I do feel like, well, okay, so I
think it is satisfying to watch all these guys get killed. I think in that sense,
so let's
the
talk
movie
about it.
is smart. Yes.
So like, they get rumbled. They decide they have to kill Irma P. Hall. First, Tom Hanks tries to win her over, which is a pretty fun scene.
And that's one of my favorite beats in the thing is when he's like, I'm just going to...
And you're sort of watching him almost, knock her down.
By the way, I'm sorry, to circle back to your question of what is the funniest part of this movie,
Please.
I can tell you what I think
What
the
is
funniest
it?
part of this movie
That's
is.
the question.
And it's the scene that almost for me represents its key value. Irma P. Hall trying to get George Wallace to meet the professor. And Tom Hanks is eluding him. And George Wallace increasingly thinks...
George Wallace plays a sheriff who basically is only sitting in a chair.
This is an imaginary figure.
Right.
She's an old lady who's lost her mind. And she clocks that he's hiding under the bed. And Irma P. Hall has this conversation with Tom Hanks under the bed where she's giggling and going, Professor, why are you drinking tea under the bed? And George Wallace looking at her like, this is like a weird
Right. That's pretty funny.
breakdown for a woman to have. And him just making the shush finger under the bed. I just find everything about that scene funny.
I think we should maybe call back something that came up in the Johnny Dangerously episode, which is that I would say drop the NY and it's fun.
I'm giggling.
But that is, I
Professor,
think,
why are you drinking
it's
tea
something
under
we
the bed?
really hit on in that Johnny Dangerously episode where it's like, right, do you find something kind of fun versus actually fun?
If you don't find
Also,
this movie
Ben?
funny, there's nothing I can say to convince you of its value.
Ben?
Like I can see that that
most
is
people did
Yeah,
not.
absolutely.
obviously.
I want
Right.
to say this, and no disrespect intended. I've lived in New York for almost a quarter of a century. I will never drop the NY.
It's a good point. Thank you. And thank you for saying that. And you know what? Zoran Mamdani is happy that you're going to stay
Yeah.
here, our future wonderful mayor.
Yeah, I mean,
This point,
unless
is
I
he our
book work
mayor?
somewhere.
oh boy,
He better
let's hope
fucking be our
so.
mayor. Anyway, Ladykillers. Yeah, like,
The
look.
first half of the movie is the heist planning into the heist. And then, an explosive goes off that throws the money all over the
right,
place.
she
and she
rumbles
walks
him.
in.
So
They think she's going to be at church. She comes home early to make tea.
the deaths proceed in this order. The first is Marlon, who is almost happy initially to kill her, but then flashes back to his childhood and his own mother.
Who used to sit in the living room in the same way.
Right. And realizes he can't do it.
And I'm sorry, just to circle back briefly, Tom Hanks first tries to sell her a load of bullshit. She doesn't buy it.
Yeah.
He
Then
then
she almost buys it. He's like, we're just affecting.
Well, no, first he says everything you saw was a misunderstanding.
Well,
the
no,
money
no.
was flying because he doesn't believe in banking, this and this and that.
No,
And
but
that's one of
then
my
he's-
favorite moments because you have. I feel like both of those characters have to operate at a higher level of intelligence because it's like I don't buy this, and he's like, oh, I have to make my lies better to fool this lady.
It is my favorite Hanks performance moment, which is in that scene when he finally goes like, let me level with you. We are not musicians of the Rococo era nor any other era, right? We are criminals. And in one sustained shot, the light behind Hanks's eyes goes out. All of the effort he does to play charming, when he hits the word criminals, he starts looking evil without doing anything
Yeah.
demonstrably
Once
huge
again
on his face.
and establishing the importance of eyes in film acting.
They got to be alive.
Gotta be alive.
But then he admits to her, this is what we did because of the insurance policy. It's not like anyone lost their money. It's $1 added onto everyone's plan. And we could cut you into this and give you money to donate to Bob Jones University.
Tries to
And
sell her on that.
she says, it's not right.
She almost gets there.
Almost.
Yeah. And then she gives up.
We're going to
I
march
like thinking
to the
that
station
I like
and you're going to
thinking-
hand the money back.
I like thinking it's never occurred to me that moment where Tom Hanks literally like drains the life from his eyes.
Mhm. It was
That
inspired.
he maybe thought back to my Band of Brothers audition tape
Quite
and thought
possibly.
like, I saw an actor do something once. If I can pull it off in this moment, then maybe we got a
It
movie.
truly is. He goes Connor mode.
So Marlon flashes back to his mother.
Yeah. He's trying to
That
shoot
doesn't
her
really work.
with a handgun and a pillow.
And so then he comes back and gets shot in a struggle with J.K. Simmons.
With Pancake. Pancake has
Yeah.
been angling for a bigger cut. He brings Mountain Girl into the arrangement, which was not agreed upon. She enters the circle of trust, and they agree that she's going to have to split his share, but then he also loses his finger. An explosion, wants workman's comp,
Yes.
is
pretty
not
funny.
granted it.
J.K. Simmons, of course, at this point, he was just such a reliable,
This is
funny
their
guy.
first film with him?
Yeah, but I mean, like
And this
in any
is
movie,
the
he
first
was funny.
same year as Spider-Man 2.
Right.
I love his character. I love his mustache.
Mustache, great.
I love his repeated the Coen brothers sort of cycle repetition of both images and dialogue, and I like the rhythms of Coen brothers films. The way he keeps going, just a trial balloon, pitching bad ideas.
Easiest thing in the world is another good runner.
Yes. But then he struggles with Marlon Wayans as they get into a fight. They've been bickering the whole time.
Right. So that's Marlon dies. They throw him on the barge, and we're like, okay, now we are in the people get thrown on the barge. Like, this is the thing.
Right. Then Zima is up next. Another thing that makes me laugh every time he swallows the cigarette.
Well, it only happens once or twice, right? He hides the cigarette is what you're referring to.
And then he's able to kick it back out.
Which is great. Zima is the
incredible
best part
piece
of this
physical
movie.
acting.
But he dies because he swallows the cigarette. He's startled. No, what happens next is Pancake tries to escape with the money and Zima kills them. And then he tries to kill her, but is startled by a cuckoo clock, swallows his cigarette, falls down the stairs.
Pancake tries to escape while the rest of them are disposing of Gawain's body.
There's a gag that I didn't remember noticing the first time, and it feels like the type of gag. It didn't make me laugh. It's a little mean-spirited, but it felt like the type of thing that's like, I bet the Coens enjoyed this detail, which is that when J.K. Simmons and Mountain Girl are both killed, so they have two bodies to dispose of, and you see them holding these legs with boots and pretty hairy legs. And you're like, oh, that must be J.K. Simmons. They drop the body, and then you see the next body, and the legs are even hairier.
Yes.
The Zima one is the one that I think is good because it's physical humor that's part of the story. It's part of the house they're in. Marlon Wayans one is kind of an anticlimax. The Ryan Hurst, the character we haven't mentioned because he's not that interesting. Kind of.
Although I do think it's a good
funny.
performance.
Yeah.
And after this, he becomes like
he's the Sons of Anarchy guy,
right?
He's like,
and he was on Walking Dead. Like he becomes after this exclusively like big weird beardo, soulful,
right.
haunted men.
He basically has a change of heart and is like, actually, maybe we should turn ourselves in.
Which is the same thing that happens in the original.
Tries to shoot
that one round.
Hanks fails,
doesn't want to kill
shoots himself.
Yes.
By mistake.
I think it's a good gag.
It's not bad.
Execution of
Physically, it works.
And, and that he basically just immediately falls over. Yeah.
And then
Dor
thinks he's gotten away with it, is going to take all the money, and then gets clocked in the head with a
gargoyle with a raven on top. He loves Edgar Allan Poe, and the gargoyle is the opening shot of the movie.
And he breaks his neck, classic Gwen Stacy style.
And the anticlimax aspect of it, which also comes from the original, which is that these things sort of happen and are like, oh, they sort of just like one dies, then the other.
The
and then
problem kind of completely solves itself.
You have like a villain, a comedic villain who's set up in both versions where you're like sort of waiting for him to do the villainous thing.
He's presented as a criminal mastermind.
In neither
in both
movie,
cases, you're like, is this guy just a total blowhard?
In neither movie does that character ever truly, you never see him actually like kill somebody in a way that feels like, oh, this is the moment we've been waiting for.
In the Ealing one, there's the bit with Herbert Lom where he's crowbarring the
thing,
the fucking ladder. That feels like the closest to him sort of screwing a guy over.
But in this one, it feels like Hanks is going to have to kill the strong, dumb guy, and then he doesn't. And it's like, oh, I didn't have to do that beat that we're sort of anticipating from the beginning.
But he's just
and then we're thinking, oh, now we're going to see he's going to have to do the killing, and then the movie takes care of it before you ever have to have a scene where he tries and fails to kill.
Yes.
Yeah, it's all right. Deacon's popping off at this point, I would say. It looks pretty good.
A couple things here, okay? First of all, I just think this movie looks incredible.
Yeah, it looks good.
I think
Deacon's is great.
If we're not viewing this through the prism of the Coen brothers filmography, which I know is the main exercise of the show, and we're thinking like this is just a touchstone comedy that is released in April, I do the mental exercise while watching this movie of being like, what if this was directed by a first-timer?
Because of course it is.
It is. What if this came out of the blue and it was like, oh, it's directed by some guy who did commercials before this? I do think I'd be like, that movie isn't great, but who the fuck directed this? It is like so well constructed. Obviously, you think it's lifeless. I think it's got energy.
Lifeless, but low energy.
Every time it does one of the like Trouble of This World montages, I'm really kind of like in on the kinetic energy of the motion of this movie and the way it uses the music, the look of it, the performances, the styling. Like, I think on a basic craft level, it is not like markedly a step down from their best work. You could just say all of that craft is applied to something that is less worthy of their craft than most of their films. But it's not like they have a film in their filmography where it's like, that's a complete fucking drop of the ball fart. It's incompetent. It is lacking identity.
I think this movie benefits from going into it. No, I think everybody who watches it at this point, I think it's to the benefit if you go in with a feeling of like, this is their worst one.
Absolutely.
Lower your expectations.
You got to watch it that way. And at this point, we also don't have to watch it with the fear of like, oh, fuck, have they lost it? And it's like, hey, guess what? Right after this, they won Best Picture. They've continued to make great films. This wasn't the end of a golden age for them. This just becomes a weird blip.
And there are things they do in this film that it's not like they just made a film that's like, well, it's like a bad version of this other film of theirs. The things that I find pleasurable in this movie aren't just things where I'm like, oh, I could just go watch Barton Fink again and I'll get that out of it.
And I know you like Burn After Reading less than me, David.
Yeah,
that is a movie I love. But Burn After Reading is actually weirdly similar to this one and feels like a much better version of this, even down to like the comedic deaths and the misunderstanding and all of that. That movie, I would argue, has a point of view that this film does not have.
I tend to think
I think that movie has more driving its tone.
It has ideas in it that are relate to the way that Joel and Ethan see the world, whereas this is a comedy about comedy. It's not actually about anything.
I'm going to push back on that slightly and say this, because I always tend to think of their next film as a trilogy, their next 3 films as a trilogy of sorts, because I always feel like No Country for Old Men is about this sort of, it's the drama version of like, there's an evil, there's a darkness in the world, and we're going to look at these systems that are trying to deal with it, but ultimately, like, can they? Maybe they're not built for it. Burn After Reading always feels to me like the comic B-side of No Country for Old Men. The same world, the same fucked up systems, but instead it's all these ridiculous bureaucratic fools that are sort of, they don't even know what's going on. That both movies end with a similar thing, which is like, I don't know what's going on.
Maybe none of this mattered or meant anything.
And then A Serious Man sort of like takes an even like broader view of like the universe in a way. And now I'm sort of for the first time thinking of Ladykillers as being sort of like a like those 4 movies, because there is a worldview to this in the sense of you have a main character who is put forward as like a smart person who is well-intentioned, but in this world where you have these like bad men who are trying to do something, she's ultimately going to like get this windfall of money at the end and donate it to, and I pray their lawyers aren't listening, Bob Jones University. Oh, this is a comedy podcast in many ways. I gotta be allowed to joke and riff.
Comedy's about pushing boundaries. Sometimes we miss.
Please do not sue this.
Please don't sue us.
Please.
And if you want to sue us, I want to remind you that the opinions expressed by Connor Ratliff do not reflect the opinions of Blank Check Podcast or Blank Check Productions overall. They are the opinions of one individual. Please sue Connor Ratliff.
Oh,
but
please.
don't.
Please also don't.
Don't sue him. But if you're going to sue us, sue him instead.
But I do feel like that is a subversive ending at the beginning of a series of, I think the endings of the next 3 Coen Brothers movies are all these like, oh my God, that's the way to end a movie. And I love the fact that this kind of like broad Disney comedy ends with like a happy ending that also has like, if you know where the money is going, this is a movie about a bunch of criminals who all die and the money ends up going someplace that is not ultimately like a happy ending.
No. It is a funny thought experiment to consider if Barry Sonnenfeld had made this in 2004 with Nicolas Cage. I don't think it would have been a big hit, but I do think people would have been like, kind of an upswing for Barry Sonnenfeld versus where it was at with the Coens. Like if he had
but this movie wouldn't be very good if Barry Sonnenfeld made it, like even compared to the Coen version.
But I also think it would have been a little similar. Of all of the films they made with Deakins, this is the one that feels the most Sonnenfeldy to me.
It's true, but I just want to point out to you this thing that in Barry Sonnenfeld's career where after Get Shorty and Men in Black, he makes absolutely abhorrently bad movies.
I agree.
And so it's sort of that thing of like, maybe he just didn't know how to make a good movie anymore.
But this feels like the kind of film he should have been making. That having been said, Big Trouble feels like him trying to Get Shorty again. He couldn't pull that off.
Can I ask a question?
Please.
One of the questions on doesthedogdie.com says,
good. No, we got to answer.
I want to get out of here.
David, we got to answer.
I'll tell you this, if I don't say what I'm about to say, your listeners are going to lose it.
Connor, you're saying
because they'll always wonder what was it.
You're saying it right now, and also I have to do a merchandise spotlight. Connor, go on.
The question under the category fear, it says, are there ghosts? And the commenter says, no ghost appears, but I am pretty sure that all of the stuff happens because of the ghost of the lady's dead husband.
I like this.
His portrait also continually changes throughout the movie, and there are flickering candles.
This movie has good
What's the merchandise spotlight?
First, you got to say the sentence
What's
properly.
The merchandise spotlight?
David, your alma mater, the AV Club, that has now gone through many different hands of corporate ownership and is a website that is like fucking nerfed to death, and trying to read archives of the AV Club is...
It'd be tough to sift through that.
A headache, especially any article that originally used to have images. They would do a yearly feature. Do you remember Swagology? a feature I loved when I was young that was in an era before social media where people share this stuff all the fucking time. The AV Club once a year would do a roundup of all the promotional items they had gotten from studios for TV shows and movies, new releases. And they would rate what's the best and what's the worst swag we got. And in 2004, they referenced that the fine folks at Walt Disney Pictures sent them a Ladykillers branded waffle iron. To your point about the waffles being the main hook of the marketing, I think it's because, by the way, that scene in a microcosm is what, in theory, the comic juice of this movie should be, which is this guy acts like this and has to confront the real world being like, why are you talking like that and why are you dressed like that? The inherent comedy of him ordering waffles at the Waffle House in a way that no one understands.
I'm not finding a single thing about this on the internet.
I was doing such deep Googling. I found them referencing it in a later Swagology. I have been looking for years to find one on eBay. I've never found an image of one. I remember there being one at AV Club at the time, but in their 2009 Swagology, they talk about getting swag from Gordon Ramsay's Hotel Hell and Kitchen Nightmares, and they say this will go in our pantry right next to our Ladykillers waffle iron. It exists, and if any one of our listeners can find one or send me one, please, please. I need to know I'm not crazy.
Can I just hop on real quick? I know that Griffin put out the offer first. If anyone has one, please send it one his way. If someone has two,
yes,
I'd really love that second one. I don't want to rain on Griffin's parade. I really want that. Someone's like, I got two of these. What am I going to do?
March 26, 2004. First in the box office, Griffin is opening number 2 to $12 million.
It ends up making 30.
It made domestically. It made 30. The numbers 9.
It cost like 40.
35 to 40, yeah.
Which is pretty crazy considering that Hanks probably got 20 or close to.
There's no way he got 20.
What do you think he got? 10, 15?
A lot less.
My man took a haircut on this one?
100%. I'm sure he was way below his quote on this.
And the budget was under 40. It made 70 something worldwide.
Yeah, it probably,
And how much money were they stealing in the heist from the casino?
That's a great question.
I don't think
in the original it's $60,000. I'm
like,
guessing it's like 600,000 in this.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I'd love to know how much more money the movie made than the heist was.
Quite a bit.
That'd be like a fun
in
segment.
that sense. It was
number
kind of
one at the box office is a sequel.
Okay.
Sort of a family, I guess.
It's a family adjacent movie.
Sort of genre. I'm sure you were there opening weekend.
2004. Is it live action or animated?
It's live action with some animated characters.
You say I was there opening weekend derisively. That means, of course, it has to be Scooby-Doo 2: Monsters Unleashed. It is one of my favorite subtitles, but it is also one of the worst titles of all time.
Now,
because they should have done Scooby-2, Scooby-Too, Scooby-Doo. There's so many opportunities there, and they whiffed on all of them.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
Scooby-Dooby 2.
Scooby-Dooby 2. Any of these they could have done, and they did not. It's just called Scooby-Doo 2: Monsters Unleashed, a movie with a great premise and terrible execution, written by James Gunn.
Scooby-Doo 2: Monsters Unleashed, opening to a healthy $29 million for a movie that bad.
But the first one came out in the middle of the summer and opened to like 55. It was the biggest opening weekend Warner Brothers had had.
Yeah, I mean, I think this one's...
The whole cast talks about that they felt like they dumped it coming off a big hit. Yeah. And it ends up at like 90.
It ends up at 84.
It does like half of what the previous,
Number 3 at the box office is the actual box office success of this era, this moment.
I believe it's called The Passion of the Christ.
That is correct.
It's one of the most successful movies of all time.
In 5 weeks, it has made $315 million.
Insane.
Number 4 at the box office is a collabo between the two most recent people to be involved with Superman.
Oh, it's Dawn of the Dead?
Yes.
So Gunn has 2 movies in theaters at the same time.
Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead, which is has a 60% drop after being number 1 last weekend, but nonetheless,
it's a phenomenal
a decent hit. Yes, and a good movie. Number 5 at the box office, probably drawing a lot of fire away from Tom Hanks sort of having a bit of a flop on his
Someone else is flopping harder.
Is a huge flop.
A notorious flop?
I would say somewhat notorious. Directed by someone who's been on this show multiple times.
Who's been a guest on this show?
2 times. 2-time guest.
A 2-time guest directed a huge flop.
It's him swerving to a more sort of like kind of grown-up type movie. Doesn't work.
Is it In Good Company?
No, that's a good movie.
Yeah, that's why I'm confused. Oh, and that was also Paul Solo, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
No, it's but it's more. It becomes it's not a particularly big hit, but it's gets a lot of press because of the star and another co-star and the press around them at the time, unrelated to this movie.
Was there a romantic entanglement?
Mhm.
In 2004,
Mhm.
and they were swinging serious.
It's more grown up. It's a comedy, a light comedy.
Yes. The film is called Jersey Girl.
Yes, Kevin Smith's Jersey Girl.
Not a bad film at all.
It's totally fine.
It is so much better than its reputation suggests.
But
I do
obviously
believe
it's hammered by the press.
he at his Atlantic Smod Castle Theater that he owns in New Jersey, I think they have once or twice in the last couple of years done secret screenings of his director's cut that I've heard is quite a bit better. That is a movie that obviously there was a lot of Weinstein panic cutting around J-Lo after Geely bombed, where they were trying to hide her in the movie. But either way, she dies in the first act. Anyway, not a bad film.
Number 6 of the box office is Taking Lives. That's the
Angelina Jolie,
Ethan
DJ
Hawke.
Caruso.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not a good movie.
No.
Number 7 is Starsky and Hutch.
Yeah, really kind of not a good movie.
But,
Not a
like,
terrible movie.
I
Sort
remember
of
enjoying it.
skates along. Right. It's got a couple moments.
I do remember there
yeah.
was a point where I was checking out movies from the New York Public Library when I realized you could check them out on DVD, and that was a movie that had such a long waiting list that you would never be. It had like hundreds of holds.
That's so fun.
So it's like, oh, you'd never be able to get Starsky and
Huge
Hutch from the New
libraries.
York Public Library. They just didn't have enough copies to meet with demand for people who wanted the movie for free.
Todd Phillips did an interview when that movie came out where he was like, we're not trying to do like a parody of the original show. We're not trying to do a Brady Bunch movie thing. Our pitch was like, this was the original pilot for Starsky and Hutch. And the network said, can you make it 10% less funny? And then I remember seeing the movie and going, that's exactly what it is. And that's a weird thing to
That's
aim
not
for.
weighted, but it was a solid hit.
It did well.
Number 8 of the box office, did okay, but a bit of a flop. The Viggo Mortensen film Hidalgo.
That's a
coming
big
off
flop.
Well, how much money do you think it made though?
It cost over $100 million.
It was an expensive movie, but
I'm guessing it made 70,
which is like, it's like
Big flop.
Number 9 of the box office is a film about a window. Oh, I'm seeing here that it's a secret window.
Okay, let me guess what this is. Give me a hint. Who's the lead actor?
Johnny Depp,
Fuck. Is it based on the work of a famous writer?
probably.
Stephen King. You're fucking up my bet.
I know, I
It's
forgot.
Secret Window.
Number 10 of the box office, and people forget how early this
I'm counting
film-
that as a win that I got that one correct because I would have if David hadn't spoiled it.
I got you. Number 10 of the box office, people forget how early this film came out in the year. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Yeah.
Which of course goes on to win an Oscar. And number 11, opening just below all that, but a film we'll cover on the box office one day, the Ernest Dickerson film, Never Die Alone. That's like, what if DMX is the lead rather than like kind of like the off-ball
Well,
guy?
but the movie opens with DMX's death, and then it's David Arquette investigating the life of a guy via flashbacks.
Oh, so did he die alone?
I think he
And
did.
David Arquette turns to the camera at the end. He's like, and that's why you should never die alone.
It's an interesting movie structurally.
seen it.
It's a pretty good film.
cool.
I remember going to see it with my friend in high school and being like, oh, this is going to be like Exit Wounds, like DMX just like being a
Right.
badass. And then it's kind of a character study.
Fascinating. All right, I'll check out Never Die Alone.
Save it for the series.
Maybe I will. He actually has made quite a lot of movies. It might be tough.
Ernest?
Yeah.
I did a count recently. It's doable.
I think some of them are TV movies.
Yeah, I
maybe,
circle
so-
back. I always check the viability of a candidate.
Okay.
Connor, do you want to leave us with any final Tom Hanks thoughts? Because I feel like we didn't discuss his performance enough. David was rushing us along.
We talked about Tom Hanks for a fucking hour.
He
at
seemed
the top
committed
of
to the idea of this being the worst
I want
episode
to go
ever.
see the gay movie. I have to go see a gay movie.
You have to go see a game. What
yeah,
movie?
it's the one where they kiss.
Oh,
Mescal and
that one.
O'Connor.
Okay.
I think. Is that who it is?
I didn't realize there's an artificial
Do we
shot
think,
clock on this movie,
do we
on this
think,
episode. Yeah.
do we think that Pickles is the descendant of Ulysses from Inside Llewyn Davis?
He's talking about animal.
David's leaving the room. He doesn't want, he says, he's
David's
talking.
scratching his
He
butt.
literally
and
said,
slamming the bathroom
he
door.
was off mic. He said he's talking about animals. As if that was somehow, did I miss a memo? We're not allowed to
And
talk
I just
about
want to make it clear that
no wonder,
as
no
he said
wonder.
this, as he muttered this, he stood up and scratched his butt.
no wonder he got so, I didn't realize there was a no talking about animals rule in the podcast. I am so sorry that I violated that. Obviously, the dog stuff, I really like.
Connor, it's not your
I
fault.
shouldn't have
We
brought it.
should have
That's why
warned
he
you in
got
advance.
so mad every
He
time I
sent
mentioned that
us-
website.
He sent us an inter-office memo recently.
No
and he
more
said,
animal
I am
talk."
hereby forbidding animal talk from the podcast. Also, no Poppins.
Oh,
Do you remember No Poppins? Do you get the joke I'm making?
no Poppins. Mary Poppins?
There was Steve Harvey sent out a memo to the entire staff of his talk show. And the first thing on it was no Poppins. Do not let someone come visit My Dressing Room Before show, but he described it as no pop-ins.
Oh, it sounds like something that Mr. Banks would have said.
Yeah, absolutely. We gotta save that guy.
There's no record of this waffle iron on the internet.
I know. I had to do such deep Googling to find. I will screenshot
He made it up.
and we will post on social media the AV Club write-up that still acknowledges it. But I searched really hard last night to find the proof because I was like, am I imagining this?
We gotta get 2 of these.
We gotta get to.
I'll be so sad if we only ever find 1 for Griffin.
But
and
you
then
know
I'm
what?
just left with
Connor, it was a delight having
Connor
you on.
triples is
could
best.
share
Maybe we
it.
should get 3. No, triples is best.
that. Oh, sorry. I accidentally felt like we were about to wrap up the episode.
Yeah, that's a
I
weird
had
energy.
weird feeling.
Floating around here.
I have so much more to say about the Ladykillers.
David, what if we only talk about humans? Can we keep the episode going a
just
little
human talk.
longer?
No,
Just
you
human
guys
talk.
No,
keep talking.
he needs to go to his screening.
I'm going.
But we
You guys
can keep
talking.
going. It's
yeah,
fine.
Yeah, you guys have fun. Connor, it really is so much fun having you on this
Thank
show.
you for having
I
me
want to
here.
deliver you a true compliment. Sometimes I'm coming to this show, we got a podcast scheduled. Maybe we have some guest that I don't know. And there's the slight nerves of like, what's that going to be like, right? You coming on this show, I truly was like walking into the studio like, I'm going to have a good time this morning.
Did you have a good time?
Absolutely.
That's a lovely compliment. And he hasn't given a compliment in a decade
Wow.
to anyone.
I keep them close to the chest.
Can I
I actually have a bunch of letters that on my death will be released that are compliments for every flowery compliments written in
that's a
cursive.
nice thought.
Ben, you're a good listener.
Right.
It's like, that's the full letter? He waited until his death to tell me
He
that?
didn't say that.
Can I put that compliment into my press quotes and say it's from the Atlantic?
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
All
All right. I'll see you later.
All right.
Connor.
See you later.
Truly lovely to talk to you. Too bad I don't like this movie. I wish I liked it a little more.
That's a great wish. What if that came true? What a waste of a wish.
That seems like a gigantic waste of a wish.
My stance is I give this film barely a passing grade, which means to me they have never made a truly
you've
bad
seen it
film.
4
But this is their
times.
absolute worst movie. Yeah, I've seen it 4 times.
That's a lot
I
of
would
times.
love it
Yeah,
if
here's-
like the blue fairy from the Zemeckis version of Pinocchio came to you tonight and was like, your wish is granted. You now like the Ladykillers.
I'm like, great. Now I think it's sort of a 3.5
wishes.
stars.
No more wishes.
My girlfriend and I were watching the Ealing movie last night, and she was like, and everyone hates the Coen one. And I was like, yeah, let me just show you the opening scene of what Hanks does so you can see how weird it
I
is.
want to know what she thought.
And I put it on and she goes like, this is funny. I like this. And I was like, right? I'm going to take a shower, but if you want to keep watching, feel free. I go take a shower. I come out. I'm like, what do you think? She was like, I like parts of it. And I was like, really? It's lost you? And she's like, I'll admit, after 2 minutes of you in the shower, I started checking my phone a lot.
Yeah.
And I was so ready for her to back me up. And she immediately was like, I kind of get what other people are saying.
yeah, I would. It's not a movie I would ever fight with. If someone's like, I don't like it, it's not like I'm going to convince you.
No, I did not break up with my girlfriend on the spot over
That would
this.
be weird.
But I do find pleasure in the things that work in this movie.
I do as well.
Pleasure in so much stuff, and I love all you guys, and I'll see you on Thursday.
All right.
Did we get any of that on Mike? We'll see. He was projecting.
I like the way that it feels when someone leaves a podcast, you hear them go away. It makes you feel like you're really in the space.
Yeah, I mean, now we can actually
it's
get
like
to
every
it.
now and then when you're in a movie theater and they make a really bold choice about having a sound happen in the back corner of the theater, and it pulls you out of the movie in a way that you're like, that's a big choice.
These are the reasons I love this show not being on video. Do you know what I'm saying? There's sort of like theater of the mind, and like you heard David get further away from the mic, and then a door shut, the flush of the toilet.
I'm kind of thinking maybe to mirror the movie, one of us should each get up and leave.
Oh, it's like he went on the barge, that him leaving there was
Oh,
the
sure.
first one.
Let me
and-
make sure my devices are synced in terms of Disney Emoji Blitz. Just if I'm going to leave abruptly, I have to.
Yeah,
okay,
it
I'm
does-
in a good place. I'm in a really good place, actually.
I really feel like, and I hope that people have enjoyed, because I know that sometimes listeners, they're like, oh, well, I'll enjoy the movies that I like. But it's actually, sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes it's more fun to hear people talk about a movie where there's a little bit more interesting stuff to chew on, because some Coen Brothers movies, like I texted you at one point and I said, I don't want to do Ladykillers anymore.
You really
wanna
want to do Barton.
Barton Fink, because Barton
Yeah.
Fink is not just my favorite Coen Brothers movie, it's one of my top 4 favorite movies of all time.
And we had literally like just promised it to White's the day before you texted me that. And I was just like, he wants to do it for a lot of reasons. He feels really strongly. We feel really strongly. I'd still love you to do Ladykillers.
It makes sense for me to do this one, given all the Dead Eyes crossover and it's everything. But
And he's stealing your moves in this movie.
oh yeah, my Dead Eyes move. But like Barton, I just saw a quote about Barton Fink in that new John Goodman interview that's out, and where he specifically said he wishes he could go back and redo some things about Barton Fink. And I'm like,
crazy.
What
I
on
know.
earth could you be talking
But
about?
look, we've been doing a lot of Goodman this year. And I say this all the time. No actor of his stature is more publicly self-critical than Goodman. It is incredible how unsatisfied he seems to be with everything he's ever done. And I'm like, that's a guy who is so natural, makes it seem so effortless, and always hits for me. And he's like, I watch Barton Fink and I like shudder.
As much,
I think I fucked it up.
oh no, he's perfect. It's
crazy.
There's one part of that movie that I don't like. Can you guess what it is?
No, but I just had a big thought. Tell me what it is, because I need to hold on to this.
There's
thought.
one scene that I bump on. It just feels a little bit like, always feels a little out of place to me. And it's the part where he's at the USO dance and he's doing his like silly dance.
Oh, sure.
And yelling at people. And there's something about it tonally that feels like it's from another movie. And every other scene in that movie feels perfect to me. And that one scene, I always, whenever I get to it, I'm always like,
I like the sailors fighting with him, though. I know what you're saying about the dance itself.
Yeah, there's something about it that seems a little bit too, like it looks like a scene that if you saw it as a deleted scene, you'd be like, I know why that didn't make it in. It kind of doesn't.
I had a humongous thought just now.
Mm-hmm.
This all just came together for me. And I can't believe David's not here to hear this. And I hope he never hears it. I want to make it clear. I hope he never listens back to this
for
episode.
everyone on earth but David.
And if you're listening to the show, never, and you meet David or you already know David and you see him again, never repeat this to him.
But maybe say, I know something from the podcast that you don't know.
Here's my big
and refuse to explain it.
Yeah. Would this movie work better with John Goodman in the Tom Hanks part?
That was my next point I was about to make, that
Hanks is kind of doing a Goodman performance in this, right? In terms of like the bigness. And
as
like
much as I enjoy Hanks's performance in this, to imagine John Goodman in the role is to imagine an effortless seeming performance.
And John Goodman's kind of better at like charming menace than anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Like he would know how to make this character scary and funny at the same time.
I think you would be more genuinely scared for Irma P. Hall's safety if it was John Goodman.
And I think when he dies at the end, you'd be like, yes, we did it. Like you'd feel a relief that he had been wiped off the board. Goodman in this would Ben, if they don't kill the dog and it's Goodman, and Goodman is doing Foghorn Leghorn.
I would like to see that. It's hard for me to say that I would maybe like it.
Is there anything you liked about this movie? Or was it like a total?
You liked it when it was over.
You liked the tunneling.
It's a big part of the movie.
Huge part of the film.
I like the tunneling.
Zima with the cigarette? That's quite impressive. That's a good parlor trick.
Were you amused when he was hiding under the bed and she was saying, what are you having tea under the bed for?
It's a funny thing for someone to witness and imagine that this old lady has an imaginary friend named the professor who drinks tea
and
under
to
the bed.
imagine that Tom Hanks hiding under the bed and getting caught under the bed would still work.
Right. And that he's shushing her, right? And that in her mind, she's like, this is funny that he's playing this game of saying shush. That
Meanwhile,
he thinks he can get away with it.
It's a great scene in which each character is kind of correct about what's going on. Like they always have their own version of what's happening.
And it leads to the ultimate victory of them not taking her credibly when she confesses and offers to give them back the money, which then leads to her giving all the money to Bob Jones University. And Connor, is there anything you want to say about Bob Jones University on the record that is your viewpoint, not ours?
I don't know a lot about them. Everything that I've heard has been unimpressive to me. And if that's a crime, throw me in prison.
Okay, Ben's going to leave. That's getting a little too hot for him.
And of course, I hope that my big hope always, and I tweet about it every few years or post about it on social media, that the one sequel the Coen brothers claim they're going to make is Old Fink.
Old Fink would rule. It's the best thing that they could reunite to make now that they're in this extended rumspring of working with their wives and not with each other.
And the last I heard of it was them saying that they thought that Turturro was aging better than they had hoped. We're past the age, because they wanted it to be Barton Fink in The Summer of Love. We're past the age chronologically where that should have happened. But I think they want their idea of what John Turturro as an old man is still.
The guy's aging great, but he doesn't look young.
Yeah, and I think that's what
Time's caught up with him.
movie magic.
Catches up with us all.
I want to see what the Fink hairdo in the late 60s is.
I can only imagine the Fink hairdo in the late 60s.
Basically, I just can't believe the Dial of Destiny beat them to it. We got old Indiana Jones before we got old Fink.
Old Jones. Yeah.
And I don't even worry about, like, Barton Fink is a movie that just means so much to me. It captures so much. It's a movie I think about constantly. And I'm not scared whether old Fink is good or bad, because I'm not one of those people who thinks like, oh, it gets ruined if you don't like,
right.
I never think that way, because I always...
You never think that way.
I never think that way. That's not how I think. That's not how I think, governor.
Yeah.
It's not how I think. I always prefer the notion of, like, just try it. Try to do the thing.
I agree.
If you have the idea, if you have the impulse, and if it doesn't work out...
No slight off the original.
It's the same way that, like, that's ultimately... I know David really hated the argument of that we were... I don't remember exactly what he was objecting to, but when I think about Ladykillers and what works about it and what doesn't, I always just land on the side of, I'm glad they tried this, because...
Especially now knowing it wasn't a dead end for them.
Well, and especially now talking in terms of Mooseporting.
Boy,
because
we're going to introduce the concept of Mooseporting this late.
Well, all right. Because I haven't said this on the pod. I've only just said this to you in person, right?
Correct.
This is a great place to introduce it. So with the recent passing of Gene Hackman, I had never seen the movie Welcome to Mooseport.
Yeah. Let me make clear as well. My father had prostate surgery on the day that Gene Hackman died. I was in the hospital waiting room for him to be released. And you called me and you pitched the idea of Mooseporting to me on the day of Gene Hackman's death. The body, I was going to say the body was still warm, but of course, when they discovered him, he had been dead for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But this is the context in which I received the idea of Mooseporting for the first time is hospital waiting room.
All right. And it's as good a place as any to receive this idea. So if you're listening to this in a hospital waiting room, congratulations. You're pulling the same classic move that Griffin did. If you're near a hospital, we don't want people overcrowding the waiting rooms of hospitals. But if you're near a hospital, you see the waiting room is basically empty, maybe walk inside, listen to this next part. Or
free Wi-Fi.
Hit pause, go. Well, we also don't want people draining the Wi-Fi from people who need it.
Yeah,
but anyway,
only sign on if you need it.
I had never seen Welcome to Mooseport. When it came out at the time, it was poorly received, and I just didn't see it. But I always thought I will see it eventually. And then eventually it became it canonized as Gene Hackman didn't make any more movies. People were like, I can't believe his last movie was Welcome to Mooseport. It kind of has this reputation of like,
He lived for another 20 years and Welcome to Mooseport remained his final film.
And so he died. And I thought, you know what? I should see Welcome to Mooseport now. And it occurred to me that maybe I will enjoy it more because now I have a different context. Maybe I will appreciate, now that there aren't going to be any new Gene Hackman performances, I will just appreciate aspects of it that wouldn't have been as enjoyable to me back when it originally came out. And I did watch it, and there were a few things I really did enjoy. And I do think it was enhanced by just appreciating seeing him.
Now, by happenstance, the day you're pitching this to me, the day of Gene Hackman's death, I had watched Mooseport for the first time within the 2 weeks leading up to that. For whatever weird reason, I got on a run of watching Donald Petrie films. Donald Petrie directed Welcome to Mooseport. He directed the Macaulay Culkin Richie Rich. He directed the first Miss Congeniality.
Wow, you filled up a whole dish.
And there was another Petrie I watched. For some reason, I got in a Petrie run, and I was like...
Oh, you were filling up your Petrie dish.
Right, I was like, Petrie's kind of an interesting journeyman comedy filmmaker who had some big hits and some big misses, but never really had a defined identity, right? And I was like, maybe it's time to watch Mooseport. And I watched Mooseport, and you were pitching Mooseporting to me. And I thought the framework you were pitching was specifically watching a movie that was disregarded at the time because of the context in which it was released, that now, with some distance, plays a lot better, removed from that burden, right? Of whatever was held against it at the time. And I said to you, and you said, I think it should be a thing that we start doing and calling Mooseporting, that Mooseporting should be the verb for going through that process of reclaiming a movie that was a victim of circumstance and timing. And I said to you, Connor, I have watched this film in the last 2 weeks, and it is not very good. I do not know how much of a bump you're going to get from rewatching it in the wake of his passing. And you said then maybe Mooseporting is just the term for filling in a gap in someone's filmography after they die. And since then, I feel like you have morphed it again to just be filling in a gap.
Well, it's specifically a thing it doesn't like going back and seeing an old Orson Welles movie, something that came out before you were born. That's not Mooseporting. It's something that you could have gone to see at the time. You passed on it for whatever reason. You missed it. You maybe didn't even know it existed.
And things kind of dismissed with a shrug. Ladykillers is the kind of movie that a lot of our listeners might be Mooseporting.
A lot of them will be Mooseporting. I'll also say this. I want to clarify. It's not, I just said something and I realized, no, that's not Mooseporting. If you didn't know that a movie existed, that's not Mooseporting. It has to be something that you actively like knew it existed, didn't see it.
Never bothered to watch it.
And then you go back.
But you were making an...
I recently Mooseported the movie It's Pat. And I realized that a lot of the, well, it's better than its reputation. Certainly there's a lot to recommend. We don't have time for that right now.
No, that's its own episode.
But I realized there were a lot of SNL movies that I didn't see in the 90s.
So you're doing a big SNL.
I never saw Coneheads. I never saw Stuart Saves His
Coneheads
Family.
I really like.
I never saw Night at the Roxbury. I never saw Superstar. There's a lot of these
First
movies.
half of Roxbury.
Never saw The Ladies' Man.
On Fire. Yeah.
Any of those movies,
Sure.
if I saw them now, let's say they're all C-. There still might be a part of me now that is nostalgic for that era of comedy.
We don't get that kind of character comedy. The last SNL movie was MacGruber, which is now 15 years old. And that was itself the first one in about a decade.
If you go see a movie like that in the theater when it comes out and you think it's 25% funny, you still feel like 75% of that was not worth it. Now, in my dotage, as I near my 50th birthday,
congratulations.
I haven't got there yet.
Okay, humble brag.
I think I might. Those are examples of movies that are on deck to be Mooseported, because I think at this age there are certain things that even if I don't love them, even if I don't really like them, there'll be an element of appreciation.
Sure,
that wouldn't have been there in its original
I feel that
context.
way basically now whenever I watch any studio comedy, because we never get them anymore and we never get them theatrically. And anytime I watch a true, pure theatrical comedy starring real comedy stars that has like production value and any degree of craft behind it, I'm just like, this is automatically gaining another half star for me just because we're living in a vacuum of these types of movies.
And I would say in an era now where we are awaiting, will the Coen brothers make another movie together? I think Ladykillers is an ideal Mooseport because there's a limited number of Coen brother movies. If you liked the other ones and you haven't seen this one, you're also getting to see Tom Hanks and these actors in this era.
Yeah.
And no matter what, they're not making 2004 era Tom Hanks movies anymore. They don't, he's older than that.
This is a movie.
I mean, they kind of are with, well, they did with Here. They did that. They are kind of making.
But I think even if you dislike this movie as much as David and Ben did, I think this is a film worth Mooseporting, and hopefully Mooseporting within the context that we're helping to provide of how strange it was that everyone made this movie and how it's at kind of a fulcrum point of career best work for everyone involved on either side of it. But it's interesting that they all met in this middle fallow sort of. They met briefly in a pit, and then all climbed out of it.
And I also think, to be honest, the one thing that I would definitely say about this is I don't think that you could accuse this movie of like, well, this is the Coen brothers just phoning it in.
It is not a phone in, and it's not anonymous.
It is. They are trying some things. Not all of those things work.
But it's clearly built around things that they personally find funny and repeated themes and visual ideas that are throughout their entire filmography.
And sometimes, honestly, like when you really like an artist, their flawed deep cuts sometimes are more interesting to revisit than some perfect movies that you. There are some movies of theirs that I've probably seen so much.
But this is the value of Mooseporting.
Yes, this is, and Mooseporting is also great as you get older because it is a form of time travel. It is a way of revisiting things that you.
It's like a butterfly effect. You watch it and you imagine how would my life have been different if I had seen this in theaters at the time? Because you can only Mooseport a movie that you were aware of when it was
Charles Dickens knew about Mooseporting. In a way, he may have invented it with A Christmas Carol.
Christmas Carol is kind of the ultimate tale of Mooseporting.
Ultimately, it's like, there's some stuff that you missed, Ebenezer. And he's like, he's like, oh, I've seen some of this. Like, you haven't seen this?
You haven't.
And he's like, this hits different for me now.
Mooseport past, Mooseport yet to come.
Yeah.
Connor.
Spirit, please, no more Mooseporting.
Connor, I have a podiatrist appointment But I'll of course just let
Yeah.
you keep going. Is there?
you're gonna go?
Was there anything you want to
I
plug?
gotta go. So I'm gonna.
Okay. Is there anything you want to plug?
Connor Ratliff presents the acting class.
Incredible
on
show.
YouTube.
Yes.
Griffin has appeared on a couple of
Twice now.
It's a one-person improvised show. Occasionally, I have a guest join me in my one-person
Did one with the
improvised
great
show.
Jeff Heller recently.
It pretends to be it's a one-person improvised show that pretends to be an acting class.
You do them live. You've been doing them in New York. You've been traveling a bit with them, but all of them go up on YouTube eventually.
Most of them. And if what I would ask people is please subscribe to the YouTube channel because it is the thing that I want to. I'm going to give it another year and see if I can build it.
It's an incredible show. I cannot endorse it enough. Everyone I know who has seen it is blown away. It is the kind of thing that I think only you can do and is a perfect vehicle for your unique mind.
And I would like it to eventually be a thing because it's basically like a talk show where I make the guest improvise when I have a guest. And I really like the idea of it. I sort of want it to be like Hot Ones without the wings or the sauce. So just what's left.
I will say also, by the time this episode comes out, it will be close-ish to us doing the first George Lucas talk show in a little while, New York Comic Con. And I believe we have some New York show date set. We'll put the information in the episode description. Are you allowed to plug the Stitch comic?
Oh, yeah. James the Third and I,
past and future guest, friend of the show,
have written a series of 8 issues of Stitch comics that Dynamite Comics is putting out. So we're writing official Disney comics, and basically these are comics in which Jumba, he's in danger of losing membership in one of his like evil guilds, and that's where he has his dental plan, and so he has to come up with a series of inventions to try to like. Gain enough points so he doesn't lose membership in this evil organization.
It's a really funny idea.
And in each issue, he has a new invention that could be used for evil. Stitch usually does something that will then send things in a chaotic direction. And I think they're turning out really funny. I've seen the first
Show me a couple pages. They were really funny.
The first 2 issues with the art back, and it's really good. So please check those out. I think the first issue's out in early August. And then monthly for 8 months or whatever.
Connie, thank you for being here. I love you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to wander away.
Okay.
And
and I guess I'll just figure out how to end the episode.
falling onto a barge of garbage.
Yeah, right. Garbage barge. Of course. No, thank you. Thank you for being here. Talk to you soon. I love you. Guess it's just me left alone with my Ladykillers thoughts. It's like a 6 out of 10. I acknowledge there are a couple major strikes against it. So it's bordering on being like a 5.9, but I give it the 6. I prefer the sound of a B- over a C+, even though I guess both are passing grades. Just getting into C territory, even if it was a passing grade, always felt like I can't hold my head high versus anything with a B. I'm like, look, it's more good than bad. Rotten Tomatoes, 60% positive reviews as the cutoff. I think this movie ended up at like 44. I think that's rude. It should have been 60. Right there, 60. It should have been barely fresh. Or if it were rotten, it should have been like a 59. Should have been a pretty high rotten or very low fresh. It's not a great film. It's deeply flawed, but I think compared to a lot of the worst movies we've covered on this show, pretty good standing if this is your worst film, especially for how many films they've made. Tune in next week for No Country for Old Men, a movie I don't think we'll argue about a lot. It's pretty fucking great. Won Best Picture. And it's not racist, which is definitely a feather in its cap. And as always, I think I'm just going to go jump on this garbage barge. Ride it all the way to my podiatrist appointment.
Blank Check with Griffin and David is hosted by Griffin Newman and David Sims. Our executive producer is me, Ben Hostley. Our creative producer is Marie Barty Salinas, and our associate producer is AJ McKeon. This show is mixed and edited by AJ McKeon and Alan Smithy. Research by JJ Birch. Our theme song is by Lane Montgomery and the Great American Novel, with additional music by Alex Mitchell. Artwork by Joe Bowen, Ollie Moss, and Pat Reynolds. Our production assistant is Minnick. Special thanks to David Cho, Jordan Fish, and Nate Patterson for their production help. Head over to blankcheckpod.com for links to all of the real nerdy shit. Join our Patreon, Blank Check Special Features, for exclusive franchise commentaries and bonus episodes. Follow us on social at blankcheckpod. Subscribe to our weekly newsletter, Checkbook, on Substack. This podcast is created and produced by Blank Check Productions.